Welcome back to the TO Desk. I am Shib. I am your host. You are back on the official podcast of 956 Productions. Joining you again for another episode with a couple of familiar hosts. One of them who's a little more elusive, but still around here from time to time. I'm going to go down the desk. Terry, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, good to be back, y'all.
It's really good to have you back. Corin, joining me once again. What's up, Corin?
Osu was going to join us too, but then I chased him with my V2 desktop setup.
Very unfortunate. More than one of those in this company. And Kumubo joins us. How you doing?
All right, and unfortunately for everybody else here, joke's on you. I'm into that shit. So
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Exactly. We're into that shit. You can't scare most of us off. Gonna go down the docket tonight. There's a bit of news to go over. Some of it good, some of it not so good. Some of it game related, some of it production related. And but first, let's talk about our side of things, right? So for the past episode and this episode, this has been Vortex Gallery Online 2023. We've been talking about. Going to give you guys another update. Basically, to remind you that new game applications are closing this month. They are closing not this coming Friday, the next Friday. So on December 16th, we are wrapping up applications for new games. So if you guys are out there wondering, oh, Vortex Gallery is coming back, there's going to be so many games, go check out our Smash GG or Start GG. It's very hard to not screw that up these days. It's still Smash, yeah, right? It's go check out start.gg/Vortex Gallery, right? Registration is open, early reg, right? And even if you're not decided on registering yet, just check, see if there's a game that you want. Maybe the community that you represent or the people that you know around there are not there yet. You're like, okay, well, what about, Guilty Gear, I don't know, Guilty Gear XX. Maybe you want to play Guilty Gear XX and you know somebody who runs it. Good luck to them, right? Then you can, send them the link, say, hey, you should sign up. I'm sure, you have all the people. You could just run the thing. That goes for new games as well as new regions, right? So if you guys see a game that doesn't have a tournament in your region, it's pretty much just because we don't have one for that region yet, right? So rally your squad. If you're one of those people out there who's interested, I encourage you to apply no matter what. Because we're not taking late requests of any kind. Clarification.
We mean it this time.
Yeah, we mean it. This has been a thing that we've had to move in the past for various reasons, right? Various understandable reasons, but we have it pretty locked at this time. Like if you're not in, you're just because you didn't do it, right? That there's no.
Yeah, if you need to get the bracket for Antarctica Choo Choo Rocket in, like you have a week to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
we will not be accepting applications for Antarctic Choo Choo Rocket after that.
Yes, if you're running like Sega base fishing or something, like I don't.
Sega base
fishing.
I said base fishing, didn't I? Sega bass fishing. Jeez.
Yo, that's base.
My words are bad.
Game's awesome.
Yeah.
If you apply to run guys after the deadline, as much as I'd love to see that, we won't do it.
If you apply to run guys before the deadline, I'm fucking with you.
Yeah,
we've run the ring. Come on, yo.
We've run the ring.
Yeah, guys is hardly even the most offensive. It's fine.
I can just mute the stream. It's fine.
It's fine. It's not the only game you're gonna need to mute the stream for. The coming aside from our commentary, I guess the game capture, as to say, that sounds mean. There are a couple of games where the game capture that you're gonna get, the audio will be a little cursed. But yeah, if you're interested at all in joining the big show, we can pretty much say it now. There's over 100 tournaments that we're gonna be running, right? If that sounds crazy to you, it sounds crazy to us. First time we've done that, and it's going to be over a whole month, right? It's all 4 weekends. So check it out. And yeah, we'd really love to have you. The sooner the better. I should clarify, right? If you are thinking about entering as commentary, bracket runner, any support staff, we will have that open later, right? But please, think about it ahead of time as well. We understand that a lot of people, especially commentary, right, where you're constantly looking for opportunities. Maybe you can't commit so ahead of time. We will be actively seeking those positions over time, closer to the event, and we'll have a separate cutoff, if any. And if you want to get in that big involved process of organizing a new tournament, now's the time. And
yep, definitely. So yeah, so all you league TOs and streamers out there, get in your applications now, ASAP. And if you want to see what games we're running that we've already confirmed and have staff for, go ahead and check out the website at vortexgallery.moe, and you can see the whole lineup as we have it right now. Yeah, like Shibarizu said, yeah, we got over 100 tournaments that we're going to be running all throughout that month. So of February, going into a little bit of March. But yeah, so definitely check it out. It's gonna be a great time. There's gonna be a lot of action during that month. So yeah, definitely if you haven't already, follow us over at twitch.tv/956productions, just so you can get that whole bundle of notifications of tournaments going live. Because we'll be streaming some ourselves, and we'll also be restreaming a few tournaments here and there.
Yeah.
Still got to figure out the schedule and all that, but yeah, definitely shoot us a follow and check us out, y'all.
Yeah. We mentioned it on the last episode. We will have information about scheduling available next year, January. So do check that out. Yeah, so that's our house right now. You know, we're very, very busy. And so has everyone else, evidently, because the past week has been full of news from unexpected places in a couple of instances. And I guess we can start with the first announcement that came our way, which was the announcement of the Street Fighter 6 second closed beta test. We didn't talk about the first beta test, I don't believe. I think we weren't even recording at that time. But the second beta test, the fact that we have a second beta test, I think is testament to how hungry people are for another opportunity to play this game. So there's a couple of things that I really want to just hammer in. First of all, dates, December 16th through 19th. It's going to be available on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, and Steam. And if you got in for the first closed beta test, you do not need to apply. Even though I got in for the first one and I applied again, you do not have to do that. You will get access. However, if you did not get access the first time, you do need to reapply. So do not expect to be re-entered. They actually changed the way they do the sign up because people were selling their keys on eBay to the thing because it was a registration key. So they actually changed the way that you onboard, which is that you have to link your account and it grants the license to your account. You no longer get a key. So for that reason, because everyone ruined it, the first time, you will not be re-entered. You need to do the link before you get entered into the lottery for the closed beta test. So do it. And
signups for that are live on Capcom's website. And
yes, Street Fighter 6 stock
signups until Sunday, December 11th.
Yes, December 11th. It is streetfighter.com/6. So there you go. You will go to the number 6.
No more homie hookups.
Yeah, no more homie hookups. Okay, so did anyone else here get the chance to try it out? I did. No?
I watched people.
I did apply, but I did not get.
Damn, unfortunate.
Yeah, I didn't even
I'm
apply.
not cool enough,
to be honest.
Yeah. Okay, so I did get it. I had my fun with it. I'm actually looking forward to trying to getting my hands on it again. Mostly because out here in my region, getting matches in Street Fighter 5's netcode. I came around to Street Fighter 5 at the end. I think a lot of people did, but the netcode in my region is mediocre at best. So I know a lot of people, I've seen opinions on Twitter Street Fighter 6 can take its time, the beta, Street Fighter 5 is in such a good place right now, and you look at who they are, it's NA players, right? Or people in Western Europe, they can get good connections, most of the time. Down here, that's really not the case over here in Latin America. So Street Fighter 6's online play is out of this world good. So that alone kind of scratches an itch that Street Fighter 5 cannot sometimes, because sometimes I'm literally, even though the game has crossplay, right, even though it's super easy cheap to buy the game now, I'm just sitting on queue screens, and when I do get a queue, sometimes the match is terrible, and that may not be everyone's experience, or particularly the vocal side of the player base, but I'm really looking forward to having 6 again just for those crispy connections. Yeah, it was some magic. Is there any questions that I want to ask you guys, I guess, now that I actually dug into the game a fair bit? Do you guys have any questions, anything that you're not sure about with the game as you've seen it so far?
Are they broadening the variety of characters they have for the next CBT, or is it going to be the same ones?
It is the same, which is disappointing. It is the same.
Yeah. Still no pure grappler.
Yeah.
I mean, we know Zangief is in the game already.
We know the roster, but like, give us like Honda at least or something. I don't know why they showed like all those characters and they're not in this. They showed
They may not
Blanca, Honda, Dulcim. I mean, they have like trailers, right? I guess they're not. I'm sure they're not done, but you know.
I think that generally, if you're gonna do like something like this, you should have like one of like each of the key archetypes you're gonna have in the game in.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is more of a
But that's more of a want than a
networking
need, I guess.
test than a like actual design and playtesting test.
Oh, for sure. But it's also like these betas are also a marketing opportunity for these companies. That's half the reason they do them.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you want to reach out to all the player base and let them like know how things are gonna be, you should like have them have access to like a zoner and a grappler and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be ideal, but they just may not have enough characters ready. Because of that, because of the marketing for it, they would want them to be. The characters that are in the first beta seemed pretty they seem shippable.
Oh yeah, they were good characters, and they were definitely shippable, and they seem cool. They're definitely the ones they've been putting the focus on. But a lot of people are like, "Hey, man, what about my character?" Or like, "What about the type of character I like to play?" Have been the main things I've been seeing people saying about the previous CVT.
Yeah,
because they're like, "Yeah, sure, I guess I'll play Luke or whatever."
You know? Like, yeah.
There weren't any balance changes outside of a few bug fixes in the second beta.
No,
so it seems like
I think there are. Hold on.
There are a couple of system changes.
There are no individual character adjustments. Okay, yeah, they didn't change it, which is really funny because I don't know if you guys follow Tragic on Twitter. Guile player has been posting like 80% damage. Guile, yeah, like 80%.
Or sorry, spreading out the content, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Still posting like he's been like recording them, like he recorded them and he's just been posting them like, oh yeah, here's a Guile combo that does 60%, 70%, 80%. He got like 85% or something like that. And so if there's no changes, then he's gonna go back in there and he's gonna optimize again. Just shout out to Tragic. Yeah.
Still doing this shit. 20 years later, it's like,
and people were reacting to all of his videos being like, "Oh man, they're gonna nerf Guile so hard." They're gonna nerf Guile. No, they're not.
No, they're not. They didn't even do anything. They're like,
there's a good chance that the developers are aware that the characters are capable
you think
of doing this much
Nakayama
damage?
ain't in there? Like, dude, what is he doing? You think Nakayama doesn't want to see like more of that? He's like, yo, you gotta post more clips, bro.
I appreciate the combos actually, or the combo potential in that game having the skill ceiling that it does, and it should be a little ridiculous.
You also have to make resource decisions for them, which is nice. Because it's not like Street Fighter 4. I'm not going to speak as much about 5 because I tried to avoid that game as much as I could until very late. But in 4, like there was pretty much no resource management because Ultra was free, and you could only spend it on Ultra.
Yeah.
Whereas the Drive, you have to make interesting decisions about because it's also your guard gauge.
And it's like, do you overextend yourself to try to extend your lead, or do you try to hold like that? That's going to lead to more interesting decision making and potentially stuff like hyper comebacks coming from.
Yeah, I appreciate them taking doing what other fighting games did and taking a page from Eternal Fighter Zero and having a separate gauge for EX moves and cancels as opposed to supers, which are on their own gauge. Because otherwise, people just don't do supers.
Yeah, they really want you to do supers. They're also like they're like stacked to like the most they can with like iframes. So like they are like really good.
That changed actually. Don't the level 1? That's actually one of the few changes.
What they changed is that they no longer have exactly. But also having strike and throw invulnerability is also extremely still like they got rid of really that part. But that still makes, like, for example, like Ken's level 1, like a really good like super to land, and if you need iframes. I mean, sure, he has EXDP, but doing EXDP drains your drive meter, right? So if you have the extremely cheap level 1 super art stacked with iframes and it's quick startup, you can just go for that instead, right? So
and even if it gets blocked, you get punish countered, then you haven't at least lost the drive gauge that you would have spent doing the EX
exactly.
move. Whereas you do that, you lose that.
Yeah,
and
you would
maybe
lose that extra
additional
chunk.
punish penalty, and it's a lot to lose.
It's a lot to
like
think
over half
about
a
too.
gauge on the
Like
spot.
you can think about like all the trade-offs that you make right there. Just by choosing like one one like no brain gorilla reversal over the other.
And I appreciate how they have the super set up. It seems like, even though there's pretty clearly a system there, is like the level 1 is kind of that
Yeah, they are extremely
standard super, either as combo filler or as a reversal or something. And then the level 2 for most characters is a install of some sort.
It's
powers
more
them up.
utility-ish.
Yeah, it's more of a utility super.
Yeah.
And then the level 3 is the big flashy higher damage,
The
but
critical
lower
art,
efficiency,
you know,
critical art.
Yeah,
The sort of thing you'd end a game with.
Yeah. I look forward to it. I wonder if there is any deeper changes that they've added here. I know that they are. I'll read out some of the things that they're explicitly mentioning as new things. The first is, well, I'm gonna go through the online ones because they're very short. They changed how input delay works. So the game's netcode has a very simple logic. If your latency is from 0 to 100 ms, there's 0 frames of delay. Okay, rollback netcode, 0 frames of delay. It works really well, by the way. If there's 1 to 200 frames, it's 1 frame. And you see where this is going. So 200 and above, 2 frames of delay. And that may sound ridiculous, because it is, because there are many games where 2 frames of delay gets you a playable match at 100 ms on a good day, right? With rollback. But Street Fighter 6's netcode is just really good. So I don't know what they did. Anyway, they're changing it so that there were a lot of situations where maybe someone's ping is like, you have a ping to that person of like 80 to 100, right? So you're playing the game and like the ping spikes because whatever reason, and you know the 1 frame delay or the 0 frame delay switches to 1 frame, or maybe like further down the line there's like 180 ms and they jump to 200, right? So it goes from 1 frame to 2 frame, right? What they're going to do is if it goes up to a high value, it's going to stay there. So for example, in that scenario, if somebody's connection gets to 200 ms plus, it's going to set it to 2 frames and it's not going to go lower to that. I find it very weird that they're trying to like creatively solve this. I think it's like a better compromise because like, yeah, fluctuating input delay sucks, even if it's 1 frame. And I think it makes sense to just like set the delay for the worst case scenario. But like also just let people pick their own delay. What is this? Why are we even?
I was gonna say, like, why even have?
Why even think about this
in the first place? The best practice has pretty much been known.
It really feels
for over a decade.
Yeah, it really feels like they're just trying to like obscure that part from the user. But like everything else in Street Fighter 6 seems very happy to just give you all the tools. Just let people set their own delay. I don't understand.
They don't even have to show it for regular players. Like, just make it an option somewhere and make it saying default. Like 1 is probably fairly safe for the vast majority of cases.
Oh yeah,
2.
The netcode at 1 frame would be good for like 99% of your use case, honestly.
Yeah, especially with how good if the online experience is as good as you're saying. And I have no reason to believe that it isn't.
Yeah, so
from the videos and streams I was seeing, yeah, it seems very good.
My test bench is
defaulted to 1 frame. If people need more, they can put it up more. If they want to go 0 frames and want to deal with the rollback, then
I mean, I think fluctuating it is fine for like a casual player personally, like because if they need to add it to be smoother, a player like a casual player is not really going to notice 1 frame. I don't think, right?
Honestly, a lot of good players aren't going to notice 1 frame.
I also think that. I didn't want to say that. But yeah, I also think a lot of people would not notice that. Especially with, because the 3 frame buffer is there and it's just like, it's very easy. Very large cancel windows. But, you know, I understand. Just make it so that you can force it to a particular thing. Like that's really, I think, like a very basic ask. I don't really know why it's so hard. I wish Guilty Gear Strive let me do that because it has 1 frame of delay no matter what the connection is, and some people just have the worst connection. I'm just like, let me play with 2 frames or something. Just help me.
I think part of it is that a lot of people are going to hear, oh yeah, 0 is the best. I'm always going to choose 0, even if they're playing on Wi-Fi on the top of a mountain via remote desktop.
Amen.
And there's other people who are going to see like setting delay and they're going to be like, I'm just not going to do that. So trying to take that equation out of people's hands is a good idea, especially since Street Fighter is a mass appeal brand. It's a nostalgia brand before it's a like
yeah. So personally, I know some people were like, oh yeah, but just let people pick. I do think though that this is a better solution than just letting it constantly go up and down. Because it is kind of annoying, because you do get like a match that's like in that sweet spot between the frame going up and down, and it's just like it's constantly going up and down. It's like, why the fuck does it do that? Just let it.
But that's the no, and I get that. So that is better in that regard. But the idea there is if the connection is fluctuating, it should be the rollback frames that are going up and down as needed.
Yes, but also like think about like how many frames of delay we're talking about here, right? We're talking about like 8 or 9 frames of delay being run with one frame of delay and 8 frames of rollback. Like that, it does, because it you know that is like teleporting, you know. So
yeah, I think at some point, I think that with Mortal Kombat 11, that if you hit that many rollback frames, it will start force adding delay.
I actually have no idea, but I know MK has 3 frames of delay built in, so they don't even like push it like that. So
that's the
it
other
could be
thing that kind of fights against people. It's like, oh, you want the lowest delay possible, but I kind of suspect even having like a single artificial frame of delay.
I mean, I personally, I go into every single game and I set 2 frames of delay, and if it doesn't work at 2 frames of delay, the connection is just not worth it for me. Like that's my thing. So like ACPR, multi-blood, whatever, like 2, right? And then if the connection is bad at 2, it's either the ping is too far for the match to be good, or it's too laggy, or whatever. Like that's that's like my philosophy. But I understand, you know, maybe that's not what everyone thinks.
I personally try to run it as low as humanly possible, and I will eat the rollback. I don't care.
The only person I ever run long sets with at more than 2 frames of delay is Anya from Israel, who we play CC, and that does not work. That's like 250 something MS. And just CC caster 2 frames of it does. It works. It works fine. It's just we gotta add like 3 or 4 frames of delay because that shit does not play. But you know that's CC caster.
It's a straight intercontinental link from where you are to Israel. It's gotta go up and around.
It goes up and around. That's just what it does. I'm telling you, it just fucking does. Yeah, so laggy netcode aside, let's talk about the new feature. It says added an option to reduce input delay in the graphics menu. Turning this option on will shorten the gap between your inputs and the action happening on screen. This is especially useful if you are using a monitor capable of displaying at 120 Hz on PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series consoles. Keep in mind, this game is not coming out on Xbox One. Now added information for the Steam version. The same effect can be achieved, and this kind of explains what it is that it does on console. By turning this option on, I think you have to turn it on as well. Setting VSync to off, so you're disabling vertical sync, and setting the refresh rate to 120 Hz or higher, so you're making the game display at 120 FPS, ideally, or higher. And please note that depending on the monitor, you may experience some tearing. So, there's a lot to unpack there. One thing I want to remember, I seem to recall that they said that Street Fighter 6 in the story mode would have like a high frame rate mode. Maybe I made that up.
Yeah, no, that's what I thought. My understanding was that the PC version originally has 120 Hz mode, but it was only for the offline modes.
Oh yeah. That's what it was. You could run the lobby at 120 FPS. That's what you could do. You could go into the lobby, and it would play at 120 FPS if you up the frame rate. That's what it did.
The way they phrased that and adding it to the console versions.
So that information informs. Okay, yeah. So that information informs kind of what's going on here, right? So they have the ability in the game to raise the refresh rate, right? And we've seen this in other fighting games. Samurai Showdown specifically has 120 FPS mode. We've seen this in other fighting games where, you know, they raise the refresh rate, but the game logic still is, you know, 60 FPS type of thing, right? So what they're saying is that the VSync is turning off and they're running the game at 120 hertz or higher, and that you may experience some tearing. So why does tearing happen? Basically because the game cannot put out enough frames within the limit, right? So it stops doing frames at a certain point. If it cannot finish,
it stops doing frames, is that it gets pantsed in the middle of rendering a frame. And
yeah, exactly.
The screen just splits it.
So
and then you have like half of one frame, half
exactly.
Of the other.
So what the game engine is doing, I guess, if you don't know what's going on, is it's trying to draw 120 frames a second, right? It's trying, right? And if it can't finish the frame it's working on within a certain amount of time, it drops it and it goes to the next one, because it needs to show what's happening next more importantly than it needs to show a complete frame. Now, something that is different here is that most console games do not have the ability to disable VSync. They use double buffered VSync is what it's called, which requires that the game finish its frame, and that leads to dropped frame. Like if the game cannot keep up, then the frame rate goes down because it cannot drop the frame. It has to finish it.
It also makes a mess of frame pacing, so you start getting
yeah.
jittery.
If you guys play like first person shooters, a lot of things you will see this on like console versions of first person shooters, where if you look at the very top of the screen, you'll see that the sometimes there's like little lines, like cut lines at the top. That's tearing. What sometimes happens is that they'll make it so that it can only skip the frame at like a certain very early point in the draw. So you see like tearing at the very top of the screen only, or something like that. You guys, if you play first person shooters, that's very common. So that the frame rate stays high. But what that kind of implies is that Street Fighter 6, it's going to run in 120 hertz mode in gameplay, but it's not going to run at 120 FPS. That's kind of what they're trying to say in a lot of words. That they're letting you run it at 120 FPS, right? But it's not going to get there. It will most likely not get there. So that's why they want you to have like a high refresh rate monitor, because
so the PlayStation 5 and the Xbone, or whatever the hell they're calling the new Microsoft thing, they both have AMD graphics compute units. Do they not support FreeSync?
Okay, so that's where we're going. That's where we're going.
Okay.
Yeah, so there one technology that you can use to lower the amount of tearing that you see is called adaptive sync, and that has different names depending on the vendor. So there's like FreeSync, which you mentioned, and then there's G-Sync, which is the NVIDIA version, right? And you guys will see these labels on the monitors when you go to like the gaming monitors like near you, right? You'll see like the display technology or whatever. And so that will change the way the screen, the screen, it's very complicated, but the screen coordinates with the console to refresh the screen as fast as the game can put it out, basically. Instead of like dropping the frame to get to the next one so that it can keep up with the screen, the refresh rate of the screen, the screen will like delay itself a little bit, right? Like it'll change its refresh rate to go with the console. So you get like more consistent frames, but also the input delay is low. It's very complicated, but the point is that you want to have a display with this technology if you want to use this feature. So let's think about that for a minute, and let's kind of like understand. Okay, so Street Fighter 6, it's coming out on next-gen consoles. Okay, so first of all, your TO needs to get a next-gen console now. Okay, great. Bad start.
That's gonna have to happen anyway.
Now, we haven't even talked about that. Now, there's a new lower input delay mode, so you need to run the game at 120 FPS. Okay, well your TO has 60 hertz PC displays or whatever, right? With HDMI ins. Not gonna work. You can't use this. I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you can. I don't know if they'll like disable it if you're running like a slow screen. But if you want to use this now, you need high refresh rate monitors, and they need to have FreeSync, G-Sync, whatever, so that there's no screen tearing.
So running it on a 60, if you're running 120 hertz on a 60 hertz screen, that actually would have some minor benefit if the console can keep up with it, because it would help reduce input delay.
Yes.
But you won't get the biggest benefit of having the smoother presentation.
Yeah, the smoother visuals and stuff. Yeah, no.
And yeah, so I was gonna say a couple things about
yeah,
that.
sure, go.
For people who have not messed with the Tekken Overlay mod and Tekken 7 on PC, one of the things that mod does is it actually unlocks the frame rate. So you can run it at Tekken at 240 hertz if you want, if you have a powerful enough PC to do it. And that is transformative in some ways. The game is so much smoother when you do that. It is actually much easier. Like, I've noticed this, and it actually works online, partially because Tekken security
doesn't care, what you do online.
Yeah, but you can run it online and it works, even with people running at 60 hertz, because the actual core
the netcode doesn't care
60
about
hertz.
that stuff. Yeah,
It's mainly turning on frame interpolation, and it's so much like it makes like trying to react to specific like slower lows and other moves so much easier.
Yeah,
and it also reduces the input delay both online and offline, so it is a much nicer experience that way. And that's also something a very simple looking genre like music rhythm games, like all those arcade cabinets for when they still put them out in Japan, they've been moving all those games to 120 hertz displays. And it's one of those things that seems like, well, why would you do that? And you play on it, and it's like, oh my god, this is so much smoother, and people are just so much more accurate. Like nobody wants to go back once you actually experience that. And I think that's going to be the issue for TOs here as well, is once a major developer decides to cross that line and go to 120 hertz, and has support for that in the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles, players are going to play on it, and it's going to be a much better experience because we already know it will be.
Yeah.
And you're not going to walk that back. So yeah, TOs are going to need to buy a bunch of 120 hertz monitors probably in the near future. Thankfully, they've been coming down in price.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, like, if you're looking to upgrade, most displays are good for this.
Most monitors
have adaptive sync. That's what you need. You need adaptive sync. Look, like if it has that, you're good.
FreeSync or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
if it says FreeSync, G-Sync or whatever, it is adaptive sync.
Definitely works.
You can
generally, if it like adaptive sync is like the generalized name for
the
technology,
standard.
but generally things will have FreeSync because FreeSync is an open format, as I understand, because AMD usually makes their things open because they need to compete with NVIDIA, who locks everything down. Mm-hmm. So FreeSync is going to be a lot easier to find than G-Sync, but G-Sync is pretty available too because NVIDIA is still the market leader.
Yes,
and like the G-Sync stuff does include some additional hardware, and it does. Because the one downside, and it's like a fairly minor, and definitely worth it in balance, but it does cause the screen display to be a bit darker because it's not consistently refreshing the backlight.
Yeah.
There's like options like that.
The G-Sync module that they put in the monitors, because it is a hardware component, does help with that.
Yeah.
So it makes the screen dimming issues less significant.
The good news is that 120 hertz monitors are coming down in price a lot these days, especially if you're not getting other fancy features with it. Like if all you're looking for is the refresh rate, it's not too bad to find that. And input delay in monitors is mostly not a problem anymore. It used to be a big problem back when we had the standard of the Evo monitor and you had to like look up the known display lag for every single monitor. Now it's rarer to find monitors that have problems with input lag than like to have to search to find one that has good input lag.
Especially since nowadays they're pushing these monitors. It's like, oh, we have 360 hertz monitors, 500 hertz monitors, 600 hertz. It's like some of these monitor manufacturers are getting ridiculous.
Oh, but
yeah. It's also, if you have a super powerful graphics card and you want to be full on esports, then yeah, sure, why not? But but even for console players, 120 hertz is a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about is how the 120 hertz mode looks on the Xbox Series S.
I mean, I'm not worried about that. I mean, I think a lot of people are kind of sweating about like this game having like a PS4 version and also that, right? But like Resident Evil
curious.
comes out and it has like amazing graphics and it runs at like smooth as butter and it's on like everything and it's like this is the same engine. They can make that happen. I'm not really worried
I'm
about
not
it.
worried about the game looking like the PS5 and Xbox Series versions will look fine. I'm not worried about that. I'm just the Series S at 120 hertz. I'm like, where are they gonna get that horsepower? It's gonna look kind of potato.
I mean,
Because there are some other games. Because I think there's a couple couple of racing games that actually do support 120.
okay,
hertz
so
on
the thing that
Xbox
you're
Series
talking
X,
about is
and it's
Dirt
like,
5 and that was a bug.
yeah.
It turned out.
Aw,
So when
okay.
Dirt 5 came out, I know this. It had 120 hertz mode, and it dropped to Nintendo Switch resolutions. When it was running at 120 FPS, and it was a bug. They fixed it.
Oh, so
So-
it did 960p.
It did 540.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it does look worse, but not that bad.
Yeah,
Not nearly that
they
bad, okay.
fixed it. So apparently it was just not working the way it was supposed to. But yeah. Hagure, how do you feel about high refresh rates in your displays?
I didn't feel like having to buy a dozen monitors.
I know you're
It
laughing.
plays on a PVM.
I mean, I think it's a good thing. Like, like Kumuba was saying, like it's better for the players. But yeah, as a TO, like, there. I mean, it's already happening, right? With this next gen Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, probably Project L. Like this is the next generation of games. So, the next generation of consoles and all that stuff. In the past it used to be, okay, yeah, you buy the game, you buy the console, and then you're set.
Yeah.
Maybe, peripherals becomes a thing. Like you might have to get adapters or whatever as a TO.
$1,000 worth of DLC.
Oh yeah. But now we're talking about monitors. Now we're talking about maybe switching over to PC. So like the expenses are really starting to add up, and it's tough, especially like these days, right? Like there's a lot of pressure, economically on folks these days. So yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to say. Like I do think that, from a player perspective, like sure, like having, high refresh rate stuff is cool and all, but when you put that pressure on TOs where okay, now they need, because as a player, you're buying your own stuff, right? Like
Yeah.
you choose to buy your own stuff.
You make your super high end setup. You got your G-Sync monitor with your NVIDIA graphics card and all this crap. You playing on PC, having a good time.
Your
Yeah.
21-inch Silicon Graphics International CRT monitor.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, but then as a TO, you need at least like 2, right? For a local. If you're talking about a regional or a major, like, you start scaling that up and like it becomes really expensive really fast. And so that's something that's been a worry, right? Like, especially in the retro community, or not retro community, but like recent games where NYC Furby, Arturo has made a really big push and has been doing a lot of the groundwork to make some of this tech like
Accessible, I
into
guess.
the accessible
Yeah.
and into the hands of players, right? But on the flip side of things, like it is expensive, and yeah, it's not as expensive as it used to be, especially when it comes to the high refresh rate monitors. It's a lot cheaper than it used to be, but it's still expenses, right? And as we'll probably talk about a little bit later, there's not a lot of money in the FGC, and it's hard to get these sponsorships that have become endemic in like PC game, esports. We don't really have that yet. Is it a thing that may happen in the future? I mean, we ourselves have worked with PC sponsors, to run our last event, right? So it's starting to happen, but
I mean, the
that's
need
still
for gear might bring that stuff.
so it's kind of like a chicken and egg kind of problem, but that's only at the large scale of things, right? Like if you're running locals, like you're not gonna reach those sponsors more often than not, right?
Yeah.
So then you'll start but usually with locals, you're relying on your players to start bringing equipment. But now like it just becomes a whole thing, right? Like so I don't know. It's really hard to say. I think that like as long as we all have patience with each other, right? As players have patience with
Yes, you're right.
TOs
Yeah.
and TOs have patience with players, and like we try to come at this and work through this together, right? Like this generation change is like one of the biggest that's going to be happening in our communities and for all sorts of reasons, right? Like if you look at our our topic list for today, like single one of these things kinds of is a reflection of the generation change that we're facing
Yes, I agree.
in the next like year to a few years, right? So yeah, I think as long as we're all patient with each other and try to work towards a shared goal of just mashing buttons with each other and having fun and being competitive at it, I think it'll be all right. But with that said, it's gonna be rough. Especially this first part, right? As people are really diving into this change, right? Like I mean, because even think of like PS5s, right? Like don't even like leave PCs out of it, right? It's still hard to get PS5s, like so.
Still can't get that shit.
The price is
Yeah.
still the prices are still up, and they're not going down,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, they raised prices.
they
right?
raised them. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
outside the U.S.
yeah,
So
yeah.
they're just becoming available now in the U.S. where you can actually.
I mean, they're
find them.
on shelves over here. The thing is that over here they're rare because nobody wants to buy them because they're expensive. Because they're just
they're
like
expensive. There's not a lot of games out. I mean, and also another thing like to consider, like it's always memed about, but the PS5 is huge, right?
it is huge.
Table
It's
space,
donkey.
like think about table space in majors, right? We're already cramped a lot of the times. Like sometimes you're button chairs with people, right? When you're playing in your pools. Like now you're adding this like console that's like, 1.5 or 2 times bigger. And then you have to have like fancier monitors, like things are more delicate. Like it's there's a lot of
Do we
like
want to
it's
talk
just
about
like a
that?
compounding concerns.
We had
What's
the
that?
do we want to talk very briefly about Evo again? The DNF dual setups had larger monitors,
Oh yeah.
right?
Those
And that
monitors were
Sponsored by Sony InZone.
yes,
Yep. Yeah, they're dope monitors.
they were cool. Yeah, they were
nothing-
like from the future. Yeah.
Yeah, they were like super futuristic. Yeah, they're super cool, but yeah, they're huge, right? So like when we were setting up the stations and everything, like we couldn't have as many stations in the same table space, right? Just
Yes.
because the monitors were bigger. And then if you add PS5s to that, like, as opposed to having, the typical one table with 4 setups, like now you're thinking about one table, 2 setups, or maybe 3 setups, right?
Those are what, like 32-inch monitors or so? It feels like they've definitely gotten bigger because the Asus.
What were they? That's a really good question.
The classic ones. No, those are 24-inch monitors, and that felt big at the time.
I think they were
But now
20.
it's
I
like-
think they were 27-inch monitors because that's
27?
that's the one that.
Yeah, they weren't a full 32. Yeah, they're I think 27 or something.
Yeah. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
Isn't that much. I mean, it is when you're already that tight on table space. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, like it's gonna be a thing, right? And it's gonna be like it's you don't think about those things like as a player, right? Like table space, like it's not really something that's really on your radar, right?
I do want to say though.
I mean, you could do something like put all of your monitors for a station on like a fucking forearm VESA mount or something, but that's
Then you
more
have to have
per
a
gear
VESA
you have
mount,
to
and
get.
what do you-
I do not want to
what do you
rig up a
mounting them on?
Visa mount at a venue. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, you could probably get table mounts, and they would because I mean those tables tend to be pretty sturdy.
Bring a fucking impact driver and some bolts. Just bolt them directly to the table.
But
I mean that's Evo, right? But like a lot of these tables, they're using like card tables, right? Like or like those stand-up plastic tables. Like those aren't sturdy. You're not impact driving into those, right?
You are
Like,
not mounting a table into one of those plastic.
yeah, there's
banquet
no way
tables.
you're
Do
putting
not
a
do
Visa
that.
mount on any of those.
I do want to flip the coin though.
Fall over.
I do want to flip the coin though. I think if you are you alluded to this earlier, Hagare, with the players bring their own stuff. I think if you're a PC manufacturer and you try to get gaming audiences, Street Fighter 6 is perfectly positioned to be like the game you show on the demo of your laptop, right? For example, because the game's minimum requirements are the most popular parts on the market. So GTX 1060, AMD Ryzen 3. Those are far and away, according to Steam hardware surveys, the most popular kinds of CPU and GPU, right? And the game is pretty well optimized. I mean, you know, like you'll see like some very, I think, dishonest marketing from other vendors out there. Well, they'll show like Cyberpunk on the coming out of like the laptop screen of like a thing with like a Ryzen integrated graphics thing. I'm like, no, you can't do that.
I love those copies.
Yeah, those are good. But if you're really trying, you know, sometimes they'll be like, you buy our laptop, you'll get a free copy of Call of Duty or whatever. Like you could, you know, you could say this laptop comes with 120 hertz screen and it's, you know, it's got perfect specs for Street Fighter 6. Like this is the first time I think that you can really like position like, hey, you can play this new fighting game on this thing, right? And I think that makes the whole experience a little more accessible because like here my personal setup, which tears through the recommended specs, like I've built that up over years. But if you're a new player and you want to get on this PC action, you can buy one of these laptops, you know, $900,000 maybe, and you have the whole thing, right? Or, you know, right? You walk away with the whole thing. So like, I really do think, you know, if you want to address the players, you want to get that audience in the fighting game community, like this is a really good game for that. I also do want to add a caveat. Now, I know because it's out there that Sony is working on lowering the input delay of the PlayStation 5 SDK, right? They're like Multiverses came out, it had like 2 frames of delay on every platform, right? Like even the next gen consoles. Like this is something they're working on. But, you know, keep in mind that even if this input delay reduction thing does its job, there are other areas of the stack that can introduce input delay. Remember, Street Fighter 6 beta had 5 frames of input delay. The last one, I feel like that was under the radar because people didn't really want to talk negatively of the game or whatever. But I feel like if other games came out and they said, oh, we got 5 frames of delay, they'll be like, somebody needs to fix this. What's going on? Why isn't it like 3 or, you know, 4 at max? It would be kind of funny / sad if, you know, Street Fighter 6 comes out, PS4 version still has lower input delay because the software stack just has less input delay natively, and the high refresh stuff just can't get it lower or something, or it's like equal, right?
Oh wait, SF6 is coming out for PS4 too?
Yes, it is coming out for PS4. There's a dedicated PS4 version.
Oh damn!
So far, anyway, we haven't seen anything about it.
We have not seen it, but it is announced.
PS5 only, but I don't think that's
I don't think
feasible right now.
I don't think it's like they would love to. I think it's like they care about serving the customer base there, because Resident Evil 4 remake literally had a separate like thing where they're like, yeah, we're pleased to announce this game is coming to PS4, guys. And they like initially announced it for like the next generation of consoles, and they're like, yeah, you know, the game director's like on the Capcom presentation, like, yeah, guys, we're working on PS4 version, please look forward to it. And everyone's just like, yeah, great. I mean, it just seems like they really want to address like lower hardware. Like, you know, Capcom has done that for a long time. I mean, they did Monster Hunter for years and years and years on hardware, on portable hardware. And the new Monster Hunter Rise was on Switch, so...
My worry about that, especially with the crossplay, is if you get stuck having to fight somebody on PS4 and then they have like a 30-second loading screen, you're like, man.
Yeah, that is the one part. I could see that, you know, if you're playing someone on PS4, it's gonna have a long loading time. The loading times in the beta on PC were very quick, in my experience.
I mean, there's also the whole thing of like, while they say that there's lots of PS4s getting sold and out in the wild, and they're in practice, many people still don't have it. So if you want your game to like take off, you got to make it so people have access to it. And part of that's going to be you're going to have to support the PS4 as a SKU.
Oh yeah,
to some degree at least. I'm sure it won't look as nice, and that's why we're not seeing it.
That's one reason. Well, people thought that with the previous generation too, going from PS3 and Xbox 360 to PS4, Xbox One. But by the time it turned out, like a lot of those last gen ports were largely a waste, because even it's like, yeah, you had way more units sold.
I mean,
but the vast majority of people who were actively buying games at that period were buying on the new generation. That may not hold true.
I think the issue with that though,
then people could get the new generation,
right?
Yeah,
partially because of supply issues, partially because of economic concerns.
I do think though that the issue with that is that the the Xbox 360 version of a game on the Xbox One was so radically different. Sometimes it wasn't even the same game. The software was built very differently between those generations. Here with the PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, that cross compatibility stuff that they're working on, the way it's so similar, it's not really as true, right? Like that. The games, sometimes they have like a 60 FPS mode, sometimes they have like ray tracing, right? But sometimes they're just the same game, like with some nicer graphics, right? So, I think with fighting games, there's more concrete differences that'll be immediately obvious, but I'm not too worried about it, honestly. I think it's going to be fine on PS4. In fact, I'm sure. I think it's going to be good, and people are going to be like, does it really matter?"
It'll probably be 60 FPS, especially since they need 60 FPS. So it'll probably be 60 FPS on the PS4.
Oh, I don't question that. I was just saying, like in terms of like next gen differences.
It's just probably won't look as nice. Obviously, much softer image.
Everyone's gonna look like that one little grunt from the background of the street stage that everyone keeps screenshotting. You guys know what it looks like. Yeah, everyone's seen it, even if you haven't played the game. Let's see. So check it out. I didn't stream mine last time because I was like, I just want to play the game. I just want to be a fiend, and I was really busy that weekend. I really should not have played as much of that first beta as I did that weekend. But maybe this time I'll do some content or something. I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. I do want to play though. I'm really looking forward to it. Let's see. Let's go to the next topic. ArcRevo Japan happened. In case you guys haven't been paying attention to ArcRevo, they did 3 different regions: North America, Europe, and Asia. It was not just Japan, right? It was Japan and Korea. Yeah. So this was the particular Japan stop that they did, and to spare you guys the hilarious DNF Duel gameplay that went down at that tournament. There's some really great clips of people just dying for making every correct decision and dying. There's like a really funny clip of the DNF tournament winner semifinals. It's a sharpshooter player against a striker player, and the sharpshooter player gets like 3 hard reeds, but he leaves the opponent in Awakening, which is like the comeback mechanic of like less than 30% health. And yeah, Hagger already knows. So he has to stop pressure because he gets a hard knockdown, and the striker gets like a dive kick, and so he has to block, and he gets guard broken and dies from full health, and just gets TOD guard broken into TOD. It's really funny. That game is certainly something special, and we got news about that game apparently getting DLC because nobody was sure if that was even going to be a thing, but it is. And we also saw a much more substantial update about Guilty Gear Strive, kind of breaking the silence. I feel like people were, when they announced, who was it that they announced? Sin came out like a couple days later. People were like, oh, finally there's updates from Guilty Gear Strive. I was like, wasn't the last update like 2 months ago? When did Bridget come out? Guilty Gear Strive.
See, that content is old and busted now. We need more content.
3 months?
That came out like, yeah, I was like, man, you guys are really, everyone was like, we're starved for content. There was like a video from an influencer that I'm not going to name because I don't want to be negative or anything, but they said that they wanted better communication from ArcSys. I was like, the last update was like a month and a half before that video came out. I was like, what? I was. You guys are wild.
DNF Duel players. Please.
I was wild. Yeah, it's just like a crumb of content, right? Like, is this game real or not? Like, were we tricked? Like, so I'm gonna, for those of you watching, if you're listening in, just follow along. I'm gonna go over the stuff that they announced for Guilty Gear really quickly, because I think this is a really nice meaty update. So the 3 things that they did were they're going to announce battle balance changes for all the characters. I'm not getting into that. It's ArcSystemWorks balance. You're going to get what you're going to get. Network mode updates. They did the obvious changes that people have been yelling about for a year now. We'll get into that in a minute. And then crossplay implementation, the announcement of crossplay coming to Guilty Gear Strive on December 15th. That is the same weekend as the Street Fighter 6 closed beta test, so have fun, everybody. So battle balance. They said they are going to buff for characters other than the highly rated. I believe that. ArcSys has never lied about that ever. So I'm not really gonna get into it. Happy for you, or happy for you, or sorry that happened, whichever one applies to your character. Network mode updates. So they're finally adding a connection indicator before you get into the match. You can see the ping. You can see the ping, not the connection bar, the ping. You can see both actually, but you can see the ping of the person. Ping? Yeah. Wow. And also, they're finally fixing the thing where if you pull up the R code of somebody, it takes like 5 minutes to load it. They're finally fixing this, apparently. I didn't know this was still an issue. This was an issue in the beta, in all of the betas. But man, here we are. They're doing, this is the part that satisfied me personally, as they're updating the ranked towers, so the tower mode. They're adding the option to skip the rating update that plays every time you move up and down a floor. You can skip that. You can, and the annoying part about that is that if you get the rating update, you are kicked out of your set. They are removing that behavior. They are fixing it so that if you get a rating update, you are not kicked out of the set. You can finish the set, which is cool, I guess. They're changing the way you can enter certain rooms in a floor when you're in a rank tower. I don't like that system. Apparently people like this change. I have no idea. I don't like the tower in general. That thing where you're like on autopilot in quick play and you get like kicked out during a set, that's like the thing that bothered me. So that is like, okay, cool, great. And also you can see if somebody's like got like a million ping before you connect to them, which was another issue. Because the netcode's good, but it can't fix that. And the other thing is, this kind of seemed obvious, but when the Xbox version of the game comes out in 2023, it will have crossplay out of the gate, is what it seems to have. So that's good. You know, I think Guilty Gear Strive coming to Xbox is really great. I'm really glad that ArcSys is kind of like more willing to branch out of kind of their Japanese game developer roots. It seems like good growth for the company. They're responding well to now being like the most watched fighting game dev / pub, you know, until Capcom comes in and does FF6, you know. And I guess we'll see what happens with Tekken. We don't even have Tekken on the docket. We'll talk about Tekken after this. And then DNF Duel. So I only have a screenshot of Spectre. My timeline blew up when this character showed up on the screen. My timeline like nuclear bomb. Apparently people like, you know, Spectre from hit online game Dungeon Fighter Online. I don't doubt you for a moment.
Oh no, don't meme that, because that's like one of the most successful.
Oh yeah, it is one of the most. I have an account of DFO. Okay, everyone does.
It came back twice. Name another game that came back twice.
Yeah. So, you know, happy for you guys. This seems to line up with a prediction people had where there was like a 1 year illustration and there was like a cake, a model, and there were like little characters on the cake, and one of them was Spectre. So people think that the entire DLC got spoiled by that. So don't look that up if you don't want to get spoiled, I guess. Or do. I don't know. People seem to think that is true just because like one character on that thing was actually in the DLC lineup. The other thing they announced is the Battle Balance update, and I just grabbed this really funny screenshot. I even left the thing where it says full screen thing just because it was so funny, where it says buffs for more than 100 skills, because that's what this game needs. It needs buffs. Characters need to get buffed. That's what it is. Apparently they're also
everybody touch a death ability that.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Moonmaster has, Spectre has.
Sure.
Make it more stupid.
Sure, why not? Let's do it. So they're also promising to buff guard cancel. I think guard cancel should not work the way it does in this game, to be honest. I said that much when I wrote a review about it, but I hope it works. Apparently they're also changing the evasion, which is like the
roll.
The roll, which is not a roll and doesn't really work like a roll. It's very strange.
It has 8 years to recover.
I hope it works like a KOF roll. Like that's what I complained about. I was like, this needs to work like rolls in KOF. It would be perfect. This would be perfect if it could just do that.
You think it's like, oh, this would be useful fighting someone like Hitman, like, right?
Nope. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing kind of like what they do with this. Like if they actually like change the systems substantially, like it could be cool, right? But I don't know. When is this update? I actually have no idea. December 15th, I believe.
Same day.
That's soon.
The same day as fucking Guilty Gear.
I mean, it's probably like the last day they want to get this done before the holidays. Where everyone
Yeah, everyone's like out of the office. Yeah, it's gonna be out in December. Let's see. It doesn't say. Maybe it does. I'm not sure. Wait. What? Hold on. They're announcing this game for Nintendo Switch? Oh, it is coming out for Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. Switch is next
what?
year.
Next year. DNF Duel is coming to Switch next spring. Wait,
That's gonna be interesting.
that's crazy.
Dude, I'm hella hyped.
So I will say, I have the DBFZ Switch version. Very good. Obviously, it doesn't have rollback. I want to see if they get rollback working on this. Or rather, I want to see if they somehow can't get it working on this. And this becomes like a version with like delay netcode or something. That would be really unfortunate.
That'd be good.
Because you can have that netcode and then just delay the rollback or disable the rollback.
Disable, yeah, so to reduce
'Cause
processing.
I think that's like what the Nicktoons game does when you have a.
Yes, it does do
player
that.
game on
I mean,
Switch.
but rollback isn't just like not able to be done on Switch, right? It's
No,
just-
it's not. Like, the thing is that, like, there have
have
been various
rolling
fighting
that.
games that have come out in the past where the game has rollback netcode on all platforms except Switch, because
Except for Switch,
and then the
yeah.
developers come out and say, yeah, it's because we couldn't get the CPU to do it the game fast enough for rollback. So I hope that that's not what happens here. Please pray that that is not what happens.
Oh my god! Oh man, that would.
Yeah, I've heard that from like 2 different developers now, where they're just like, yeah, you know, we made the game and it has rollback, but on the Switch it just doesn't run fast enough, so we just
Yeah.
go to delay.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely because I've heard that on multiple games as well.
I thought it
And
was
it
just
is-
because they just didn't want to fuck around with Nintendo code.
No, it's
I
not-
mean,
it's-
maybe,
it's a
but
power issue. It's like you think the PS4 and Xbox One CPUs are potato.
yeah.
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
even
I know.
work
Yeah,
potato.
it's way more underpowered. Oh man, that's.
Yeah, so let's hope. I mean, we'll see. I'm sure. I think that they would not screw this up, but I mean, we'll see, right?
We'll see. Yeah.
I didn't know that was that news. So yeah, December. Well, we're in December, so I guess in the next couple of weeks we'll have that update, and I should play that game again. I know Hagade, you're gonna be playing it probably. You like that game. You probably
Yeah, I
like
love
it the
that
most
game.
out of everyone here. I think it's
I
alright.
love it. I haven't played it in a
Fun-
while just because I was a
unlocking
fan.
characters at Evo.
Oh yeah.
That was wait, you were doing
We
that?
all
Oh yeah, no, like a bunch of people were doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was mostly Corin and
I had to do a bunch. Yeah, it
Kumobo
was
did some. Yeah,
16 setups. Ugh.
yeah.
Oh joy.
It sucks that we have to do that, but it did bring me back to the old bad days in a fun kind of way. It didn't take that long.
The
to do
bad
it,
old
but,
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't
Excellent.
too bad.
Once
Could've
upon
been.
a time, you had to unlock characters in every fucking fighting game. If you're running an event, it fucking sucks so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the really old stuff, you could just copy a save and be done with it.
The worst was on the PS3 when, like, Street Fighter 4 Vanilla, you had to unlock characters that way because you couldn't even copy saves back on the PS3 because they were
Yeah.
tied to the account.
Yep. That was so stupid.
Well, I mean, there actually was a way to do it, but that had introduced its own issues.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hella hyped for more DFO. Like, finally, they announced some shit. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
It was not clear if there was even gonna be content updates for this game.
I thought, okay, maybe it's over. You know, like maybe we're in Grand Blue versus Land now.
Speaking of that,
but
oh yeah,
yeah.
that also is a thing. They're gonna announce more info about that game, right? Or no, they said that they're working on information. They said that they're working
They're
on
working on
content
announcement
for
of
the
an
long-term
announcement,
health of the game was the words they used, and
Yeah.
so everyone's
And
like,
I thought they did, or maybe this was at the last Cygames Cup that happened. Was that last week?
I don't know. I
They
just know
did,
that what is it? FKHR
yeah,
said something.
HK, yeah,
H-
the director of both Versus and
Fukihira.
regular- Yeah, Fukihira, the director of both the mobile game and Grand Blue Fantasy Versus. Yeah, and I thought he had specifically commented that they were going to have announcements at Grand Blue Fest in January.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
looking forward.
So that
Not-
supposedly they
not
haven't been able to
pre-release.
announce anything yet because they're working on long-term updates or something. Yeah, long-term updates like female draft. I don't know. Like I've heard a million jokes about it. Anything except
long-term.
yeah.
Update I can think of is rollback, right? Like that's what everybody wants. That's what everybody's been asking for.
Yeah.
Hopefully it happens. For all the GB versus fans out there.
It's possible. If they're phrasing it as long-term updates, I don't think it's going to be they're just going to announce GP versus 2. Because I think if they did do a GP versus 2, they would put rollback in.
I mean, yeah,
they would build it to work.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I think they would. So
I don't think they're avoiding rollback because they hate rollback. I think they probably just don't have the development staff to do something like that easily. More characters and art assets and stuff is something they can manage, but some sort of architectural thing like rollback is going to be a bigger ask. Although Cygames has that money, if they wanted to, they could do it. It's just how are they also going to do that in a way in which it monetizes the game or builds value as a brand for them in a way to make it worth it for them on paper.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like GB Versus is probably the biggest victim of COVID, right?
Yes.
In terms of the game community.
That game was going to be the main game at EVO.
That was going to be the game, right? That was going to be the game, in every sense of the word. But
at that time, it did look like it was going to eat Street Fighter V's lunch in many ways,
for sure. But unfortunately, now I would say second place would probably be Uni, just because of the,
I forgot. Yeah, people have been like, "Oh yeah, anniversary of Uni."
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah,
and then the pandemic changed those changes were happening. It just accelerated that so much more quickly.
Well, I mean, I feel like with Uni in particularly, though,
killed their momentum.
There was so much momentum. Things were looking really good. The community was hype. The game was getting a lot of love at majors, and didn't have the netcode for Uni though. Could not survive the pandemic. Although I will say, shout outs to the crew who has made the weekly on ranked lobbies.
Yeah, the ranked nights. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I really appreciate that. Obviously it's not perfect, but it's something, right? And again, it's back to the roots, right? Back to the community roots. So good for them. Hopefully there's better news in the future. But yeah, we'll first things first, right? I guess Melty Blood TL, right? You gotta make sure
gotta make that money. You gotta announce that.
Make money
gotta announce that Mahoyo tie-in character.
Yeah, got bills to pay for French bread. So but I'm sure they have not forgotten.
Oh, far from it. I'm sure they're.
I know they want to do things too over there. Lots of news for
lots of news from ArcRevo and Japan in general.
Yeah. I heard I was working another event at the time, so I didn't get to watch too much of it. But the streams were pretty cool, with the exception of a triumphant kind of thing going on. But for the most part, I heard it was a pretty cool event. So definitely tune in and watch that if you haven't already.
Yeah, the VODs are out there. It's like one long 8-hour VOD, but at least the stream quality isn't really bad, like your usual Japan tournaments.
Yeah, that was...
that was the first thing I noticed when I pulled up the VOD. I was like, wow, you can actually see what's going on the screen. That's crazy.
Yeah. I need to hear the commentary screaming and blowing out the microphone.
You need to hear the commentary peaking.
Side of my headphone.
Would it be a Japanese event without that?
Yeah, you need to hear the commentary peaking.
It's that at least the Metro Japan area, major metropolitan areas, they're wired very well, so you can get every.
I mean, it's not a bandwidth issue. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's like when you see these event streams, they look like they came off an SBO 2003 DVD.
That's the aesthetic, bro.
Yeah, it's an aesthetic, really. Yeah, city pop.
What do you got for me about SBO DVDs?
I bought the Arcana SBO DVDs. We can watch them the next time we have an event.
Oh, sick!
We can play them on a screen somewhere. We should bring them. Yeah.
Hell yeah!
We should I really do think that though. We should have an area where it's just some Kuso or some old DVDs or something. It's just this is the culture, all right? You guys got to learn. You guys who came here for Street Fighter 6, this is the real shit. We just have to have an area where, I don't know, set down
I'm telling you, we gotta sell the VHS of whatever our next event is.
Yo,
That
that's
is
sick.
static. We're gonna put these podcasts out on
On cassettes.
cassette tapes,
Dude, oh
yeah.
my god, when I was in Japan, look, cassettes are blowing up over there, yo.
Really?
Like I went
I'd never heard of
to
this.
Tokyo Hands, and like they had a whole like area just full of like cassette players, and like they were selling like mixtapes on cassettes. They were selling blank cassettes for like 700 yen, like insane prices. Like the retro audio shit.
700 yen's not bad for
It's not
a
bad.
oxide tape. Actually, people are selling those for like fucking 20.
Yeah, but man, I was just like, wow, it's a thing over there. Like it's really booming over there, the whole cassette culture. So yeah, retro in every sense of the word, right?
Retro is pain these days, man.
Yeah, because you
Fucking
go to like
have you seen what a 20-inch PVM costs?
oh, dude, one day I'll have one. Not.
Yeah, the sad thing is that's one of those technologies that's not going. Like it's never really going to become viable to make CRTs on a small scale.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, it's yeah.
It's not like
Whatever.
something like with vinyl. We'll say with vinyl records. It is.
Yeah.
You know, that's a niche thing, but it's also viable to make those in small for some boutique.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even like
small quantities and make them
vacuum
on.
tubes you can make on a small scale somewhat viably, but like CRTs are too complicated and too dangerous.
Yep. Yeah.
And too heavy.
Too magical.
Yeah, no,
be
I
honest.
always think of like when you go to like artist alleys. I've gone to a couple of different artist alleys where they'll have like a mini monitor and they'll have like a game. Shout outs to Saigatos who they go to artist alleys and they have like a SNES or they'll have like the arcade hardware out like as a super gun and people can try like a weird game. Like stuff like that is really appealing to me because I think people in the modern environment maybe don't get exposure to that stuff. Like they don't just see people playing like a Breakers or like a Karnovs or like a stuff like that. So like I really do think in the future it'd be cool to kind of have like a demo booth for like a bunch of weird old stuff. Like it's just something like we're gonna bring some stuff. You guys are not gonna know what it is. Check it out. Things like that.
Yeah.
Deep as the iceberg go.
Yeah, exactly. But how did this conversation go from like DNF Duel to like
Yeah, I don't know.
old retro games?
cassette tapes and stuff. I
You
don't
know?
know.
DVDs.
Totally went down.
Yeah. I asked you about DVDs.
We were talking about production values.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Anyways,
Well,
back to yeah.
back to the cold. Let's dump a cold bucket of water on reality for a minute and talk about the Smash World Tour. Okay, so last time we were here, I asked, what's been going on lately? And the answer I had for myself in my mind was a lot of Smash stuff. So it's been kind of tuned out, right? And then it all exploded violently. And now it's everyone else's problems. So, in case you missed it, Smash World Tour. Okay, and apparently a lot of Smashers don't know this. I talked to a bunch of people about this. Apparently they don't really know the distinction if they're not paying attention. So, Panda Cup is the official North American tournament for Super Smash Bros. Melee and Ultimate. Okay, that means that Nintendo officially backs them. Okay, that's Panda Cup. It is operated by Panda Global. There is something else called Smash World Tour, which sounds official, but it is not official at all. It is run by VG Bootcamp. You've probably heard of VG Bootcamp. They are a long-time tournament streamer for Smash. If you're FGC, more FGC adjacent, maybe you've heard of Xanadu. They also run that. They have hands in that. So Smash World Tour was supposed to have their finals, and if you're not really sure what the tour was, basically they were running a bunch of events, and they were all like qualifiers, like a world tour, like an official world tour, right? And these were like international, so they had events in Japan, they had events in Europe and South America, etc., etc. They had a dojo system for online events as well for Ultimate. I don't know if Melee was included there because of the situation. But I know for Ultimate it was. And they were going to have their international finals in about 2 weeks. And they announced that the entire thing was canceled. They are done. And the given reason for this is that they were informed that they could no longer operate without a commercial license. And we'll get into that here because I think a few of us can talk about it. But they were told that they can no longer operate with a commercial license. They have an event coming up in 2 weeks, and they don't have a commercial license because they're not, when I said back, they're not given the license by Nintendo to run this commercial activity. It's a community thing, really. I mean, VG Bootcamp's been around for a long time, but they are operating for profit, right? They're going to make money, they're handling money, so they need to have a commercial license.
And they're not handling a small amount of money.
They're not handling a small, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
like
potentially.
It's actually wild how much money they managed to scrounge up for what is effectively a community tournament series.
Yeah, potentially millions of dollars in production costs, right? Like, is what we're talking about here. So, they are put in a position where they have to cancel the tournament because Nintendo has suddenly told them they can no longer operate without a commercial license. What is the alternative? That you get, sent a cease and desist letter or worse, right? And their statement included, right, the airing of allegations, right? We'll call them allegations for now, that Panda Global, their CEO, who goes by various names. Maybe you've heard of Dr. Allen. Maybe you've heard of Samurai Bunny. We'll call him Allen. This guy is going around to various tournaments associated with the Smash World Tour through this dojo system or just official ranking tournaments that I mentioned, saying that they might get shut down, that the Smash World Tour is going to get shut down by Nintendo, that you should not do business with them. And so I guess in making that statement about the reasons that they had to shut down, saying that Nintendo is not willing to grant them a license for an event they have 2 weeks to go for, they say, okay, well, we feel like we've been sabotaged by this guy who has Nintendo's backing, going around and basically saying, yeah, you should not, run with Smash World Tour. I know they're going to get canceled. If you run with them, then your event might get canceled too, in a way that sounds like he has the ability to influence that, right? We'll get into that in a minute. Panda Global has responded to this in a very sidestep way, and so has Nintendo, weirdly enough. So Nintendo made a statement through IGN initially, advising players that they never asked the Smash World Tour to cancel, and they actually doubled down on this on a second statement, saying that they explicitly said that they did not have to cancel the 2022 finals. Now, let's talk organizing a major for a minute. When you run a game and you're dealing with that amount of money, you need to make sure that you have the right to broadcast that game, right? It's like how you can't stream a movie to a bunch of people unless you have the rights to broadcast that movie, right? Maybe a movie is an easier example, but it's the same with a video game. Or, just even offer the video game for a tournament because you're handling money, you're making a profit at the end of the day from the tournament entrance. If you do not have that, you don't run a tournament, right? And what is a very recent example of this? Smash at EVO, right? They came out early on before we knew what games were running at EVO. They said Super Smash Bros. Is not going to be here because we could not secure the rights. So there's not going to be Smash.
They very specifically said, Nintendo said no.
Yeah, Nintendo said no, so there's not going to be Smash. So that's an example, right? Some of you who maybe have been in the Dragon Ball FighterZ scene, you remember that this happened for a little bit. Tournament organizers were having issues getting the rights to broadcast Dragon Ball FighterZ events. That got cleared up. But, if you don't have the rights, you don't run the tournament. And nobody has to tell you you can't run the tournament. You just don't run the tournament from a TO perspective. So there's now a weird disconnect that exists where Smash World Tour says, yeah, we were told we can't run without a license. We don't have a license, so we can't run this event. And Nintendo says, well, we didn't give them a license, but we didn't tell them to cancel either, right? So which one is it? Well, enter Panda's statement. Panda has put out two statements. They're very long, but basically the first one is saying that they didn't, that Alan, this guy Alan, he didn't mean to, sabotage people or anything, that, he was that Panda is disappointed to hear that Smash World Tour has canceled their event. Now, extra context here, Beyond the Summit said that Panda approached them and basically said, yeah, if you guys don't work with Panda Cup, your events are going to get shut down by Nintendo. And so they aired that at the same time. You know, members of Beyond the Summit came out and said, yeah, we were told a bunch of things that made it sound like we were getting threatened if we didn't work with Panda Cup. And this statement actually doesn't deny these things. They said that the Panda Cup team acknowledges and regrets an interaction between Dr. Allen, that's what they call him, and Beyond the Summit, in which he spoke in a manner which did not reflect either guidance from Nintendo or our own standards. So they're just saying, yeah, he did this. He went to a major tournament broadcaster, Beyond the Summit. Beyond the Summit is huge, by the way. They stream Smash, they stream CS, they stream, you know, all kinds of modern esports stuff.
They're almost as huge as the other BTS.
Maybe. I don't know.
Big, but no, but I know they've been active with Dota and with Counter-Strike.
Yeah, they're huge, right? And they said,
and Smash,
and they're not denying this at all. So people reacted kind of how you expect. People were very upset about this, but the more pressing thing was a wave of departures, a wave of people quitting. The people who behind PG Stats, which was kind of like a contract effort of people in the community helping out with statistics tracking for Smash, for Panda Global, they resigned. A bunch of the content creators. Now keep in mind, Panda Global had a lot of influencers outside of Smash, right? A lot of people that you've probably heard of if you listen to this podcast. You know, to name a few: Justin Wong, Kizzy K, who else? Giuna, how can I forget?
Giuna,
Yeah, Saint Cola in particular, a person that I respect a lot. I really hope they do land on their feet in this because they deserve it. It's just a lot of people in the more traditional FGC side, you know, are leaving the company. You can safely assume these people had no idea this was going on, right? Like, what does a person who's doing influencer content for traditional FGC audiences have to do with planning a world tour with Nintendo and negotiating rights, right? Like that, this just fell into their lap at the same time as everyone else, right?
And if you're a player, honestly, you take paychecks where you can get them.
Yeah.
If you're even getting them.
Yeah.
A lot of the times these esports companies, you're not even getting a paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have cleanly said out, you know, that they're sad that they have to leave because they were getting paid, you know, they were, and they felt like they were part of a good team, you know, which regardless of how you feel about that company, which is something that some people just really apparently need to air a lot of dirty laundry about, which I think is really disrespectful to people who have nothing to do with it. But like they're genuinely sad that they had to go through this, and so after, like, apparently people were keeping track, they lost like 80% of their staff or something. Like, people were like counting like how many people have left, how many people DQ'd from the Panda Cup finals, which are also supposed to be this month. How many people just said they're not going to go?
Next week, right?
Yeah, they were both supposed to be like next week. And yeah, so then comes the statement saying that Allen has been removed as CEO, that they are working on a management committee to kind of handle people's contractual obligations, to release them, is what the word that they say. And they are also postponing the finale to some undetermined date. And they are refunding people who registered. It's certainly interesting. There is also pending at the time of recording, I'm sure maybe by the time that we get this out, there will be a statement. Allen says, you know, he's resigned for everyone else's sake, but also that he thinks everyone that the Smash World Tour is lying, and that he has receipts. And apparently there will be some statement in the future. So look forward to the epic conclusion of this saga when Dr. Allen drops his manifesto or whatever. So yeah, this was a violent explosion of the entire Smash ecosystem. Well, I say entire. Main stage happened this past weekend, which was a completely separate event. Not clear to me whether or not that event was licensed or not, but I heard Project M was at that venue, so I'm going to assume no.
Project M was there, it obviously wasn't.
Yeah. I mean, you know, under the table or not.
That's been one of, like, the one thing Nintendo's been consistent about is that they
no
have
Project
zero
M, yeah.
tolerance for
No
any
Project
sort of
M.
Smash bots.
So
Project M's actually cool.
I know. Let's talk about that part that I mentioned right at the beginning, where there's now a situation where the tournament is canceled, even though they were told that they don't have to cancel, right? Like, how do you get there, right? What do you think about this, Hagre?
It's money. So, I mean, as I mean, well, majors are expensive. Let's just go off with that, right? So they've been doing a whole world tour, right, which is like crazy in its scale. And this was going to be the finale, right?
Yes.
They were going to do it big, and also something we didn't really talk about was that not only did they say that the finale is canceled, but their whole tour for next year, the
Yes.
2023 tour, is canceled. So I think that's the big part right there. 2023 is canceled, right? So when you're hosting a major, when you're running a huge event, right? A lot of the times, like, you're funding for things, especially if you're running like a series or like, it's not just prepaid, right? Like, you don't get all your funding and then you pay for this big finale, right? They're probably like spending money that they expected to get in the future with this 2023 world tour and all the sponsors and all the, everything that comes involved with that. So since 2023 is canceled, because they can't, they all, Nintendo might have said, yeah, sure, yeah, you're not canceled, but you're just be unlicensed. That's kind of like a very unsteady place, right? Like, because of that, I'm sure like 2023 just became unfeasible, right? Like, sponsors are probably going to be pulling out, because they probably promised, yo, we're in talks with Nintendo. Nintendo says we're cool, you know, yeah, sure, we still have to finish off 2022, but 2023, we'll be licensed and we'll be great, right? That didn't happen. So 2023 is out. And yeah, I'm pretty sure if they wanted to, they probably could have still run 2022, but probably not to the same scale that they promised, and probably not to the same kind of spectacle that they would want to do, right? Um, and they were just like, yeah, you know what? Let's not do this. And I don't know, like the way they release. I mean, there's a like you were just saying with that last statement with Alan put out. Like, there's a lot of he said she said kind of thing
Yes.
going on. It's not really clear what's going on, but at least in terms of Nintendo, there's a precedent, right? Like, Nintendo is a very litigious company, especially when it comes to Smash events, right? Like, that's something that everyone knows, right? And I don't
People
think
remember the history of Evo 20. Was it 2013?
2013, yeah. Evo 2013 went trending as soon as this happened on Twitter.
Yeah.
Nintendo, this was a miscommunication. This was not what Nintendo was intending on doing. There's a miscommunication with their legal department, and they set the cease and desist to Evo for the Melee stream, because apparently, even though Nintendo's management had already approved this,
Yeah.
and even then, that took several days to clear up, and that was just a complete screw up on Nintendo's end.
Yeah.
I guess
I think their litigation team mostly has like unsupervised free reign to just litigate things, is why, because they need that kind of autonomy to deal with like the way Nintendo usually litigates things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
they're
so
gonna
I don't
that's
I
their
don't think
job
there's
is they're
any
gonna
like
protect their.
surprise when it comes to Nintendo doing this stuff, right? Like, people expect it. Like, it sucks.
I mean, we're
But,
talking
it's
about the
like,
company that made like renting games illegal in Japan.
yeah, right. So,
And try
but
to do it in the US.
the whole wrench into this whole thing is the way that people are saying, like, oh, okay, PG is kind of like strong arming other tournaments,
Yes.
into, like, you might get canceled, like, it'd be a shame if your event were to get canceled, right?
They
Like,
try to
that
set up a
kind
protection
of stuff.
racket.
Yeah,
That's what they were
so
doing. Where it's just like, and I think part of the, so I guess some context here. The Spectral Tour people, the VG Bootcamp people, they've been trying to get this licensed by
Yes.
Nintendo for at least
For 8
a
months
year.
is what they said. That they had
Several
submitted
months.
their their applications for the finals to be licensed in 8 months. Okay, yeah, that's a good part. So they, in their very long blog post, they explained that they submitted 8 months ago to have their event licensed, like not the tour, but the tour, right? But this particular event, this championship finals in particular, that they had submitted a long time ago to see if they could get it worked out. And apparently what they're saying is that Nintendo left them in the dark for about 3 months, and at that point they had to announce the event. And Nintendo came back to them saying, it's fine, but a lot of higher up decision makers think that you guys are the guys who announced without a license. Is what they're explaining in their blog post. So that's bad, right from the start.
Well, I had the
and real quick,
interpretation. It was a bit different because it sounded like they had verbal communication from whoever they were working with from Nintendo, saying it's like, oh, it's under. Yeah, no, it's like we're not gonna do anything, and we're not gonna stop this. Like, yeah, we're still trying to work all this up. But you
Yes,
can do this.
yes, yeah. That this was all like in a direct like video call with Nintendo's representatives. By the way, just to be clear, what did you have to say, Hagrid?
Yeah, I do want to say, like, not to like besmirch, BTS's position, but like, 8 months does sound like a long time, right? But like, if we're talking Nintendo, we're talking about like Smash and like just the scale of things. Like, 8 months isn't actually that long, right? Like, especially when you're dealing with a company like Nintendo, right? Like, one single email, the back and forth from that could be like a month or two,
Yes.
right?
Corporate
You know,
bureaucracy in general
it's
is so
there's
slow.
so many layers of bureaucracy. Like, you got to go through
Especially
legal, you got to
Nintendo.
go through, yeah. Like, there's so like, yeah, it sounds like a long time, but it's not really. So like, at the same time, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, I mean,
I want to
I
say,
don't think.
I think, well, first of all, like, VG Bootcamp has committed their sins in the past, but I think people, if you make them choose between Panda Global and VG Bootcamp, I think more people are going to respect VG Bootcamp. They've been around for a long time, and the people there are very involved in the scene.
Been around, yeah. Like, they definitely have the community, right? Like,
so maybe VG Bootcamp comes into this, and it's possible that they were not ready to work with Nintendo at the level that they want, right? It sounds like a very dysfunctional relationship from what we know. They're running an event, they have to keep the ball rolling, right? Because VG Bootcamp runs so many events in a year. Like, they are a huge operation. It cannot be understated just how big they are now. And Nintendo is a company that can spend years thinking about things. It can spend years, and then they can just be like, nah, right? And it's just another day in the office for them. And like, I think that people were saying to me, oh, there's no way that Nintendo didn't know that this was going to go this way. Maybe they played their cards this way. There's some 5D chess just to make SWT look bad, right? But like
Nintendo does not even give a fuck.
Yeah, one, they probably don't give a fuck. But the other thing is, and maybe they understand what this was going to look like, but the point is, like, neither side of this is in sync with each other. And that's really unfortunate, because there could be a beautiful thing here, but there never will be. Just the way these things are going. And other companies, are willing to play ball, obviously. That's why we have this show. But it's really hard, and I think my takeaway is that there's some very strange kind of notions of how these things are supposed to go at Nintendo at some high level. Maybe just people who are not familiar with this concept. Maybe it's going to take another 20 years, and younger people enter the company, and they understand what esports is, right? And they people who work at Nintendo, maybe they grew up in the Smash scene or something like that. Maybe it requires some changing of the guard that we have right now.
I mean,
but
there are younger people working at Nintendo. It's just clear from stories that like make their way out of Nintendo that they aren't really given any sort of credence, because
it will take.
It's a very traditional Japanese company, like even more so than other traditional Japanese companies, air quotes, because you need to remember, Nintendo is literally 200 years old.
Yes.
and they are a Japanese traditional toy making company first and a video game company second, and that's not actually the case, but it's the way they think of it.
Yeah. I think that's yeah, when it comes to Nintendo, like things are gonna stay the same more than they're gonna change.
Yeah.
With that said, there has been really big changes. I mean, I guess this isn't really news for us, but there's that whole Mario movie, right? Like that would have
Shigeru Miyamoto's
never been a
baby.
thing like 20, 30 years ago, right?
It was a
Like,
thing 30
I mean,
years
it
ago.
was,
yeah.
but it was a disaster.
and yeah, and then look
For
how
why-
that turned out.
because
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why it stopped being a thing.
that's why it
because that
stopped being
movie is
exactly,
bonkers.
right? So it took another whole generation for it to like try to be a thing, and then, of course, and then they chose Chris Pratt as the voice. But anyways, that's besides the point. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like a really, I don't know, like it's just really unfortunate how it all played out, right? Because this benefits nobody, really.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. It benefits
nobody's
nobody.
winning here.
That's the issue.
Nintendo's not winning, Panda's not winning, VGBC, BTS, nobody is winning. Like the whole, like I'm feeling for people in the Smash community, right? Like because everything is just like exploded right now. Like nobody knows what's gonna go on. The only people who are like maybe doing okay are the content creators, just feeding off of the drama. But even then, right? Like
You know what
it's
I
just a
will
really
say?
bad situation.
I do appreciate the influencer community in Smash Sphere for kind of being kind to each other in times like this.
Mhm.
Every time you see stuff like this, you see people talk about, oh, Nintendo sucks, whatever, but I do think people at least genuinely seem to not take it out on the community for what happened, right? Like people try to throw the blame at whatever, but at least people seem to at least hope for the best for VGBC, because VGBC had to cancel their presence at Double Down. Well, they had to cancel Double Down, which had a presence at a Greater Gaming Expo this coming year in Las Vegas. They had to cancel Glitch, which is another big Smash event in NA. And it's not really clear what they're gonna do. Their statement made it sound like they're gonna kind of be okay. I hope they are, because I think this is not worth losing them, to be honest. Like the destruction, the nuclear meltdown of Panda Global and the Smash World Tour is not worth losing the big Smash streamers in NA. I don't care like if they have blood on their hands for Project M. I don't care if like Nintendo doesn't like them. Like at a community level, in my opinion, like that. There are very few people who can call themselves grassroots at that level, and Gimmer's crew are. So
Yeah.
I
100% I agree. It's always going to be the players. And
definitely. Like,
Well, I think part of it is there's a very obvious villain here.
oh yeah,
and
yeah.
With that said, like I also, like there's been some nasty stuff that has come out of it. Like people are doxing like anybody and everybody who's
Yes.
associated with PG, which is, come on, y'all. Like
It's-
y'all, like
be your own.
I don't understand that. Like,
No, I understand
this
it
was not-
completely. People,
I mean,
petty people aired out all their dirty laundry when they had the opportunity to hit Panda while they were down, even though, like, they didn't think for a moment that these people like care. Like, you think like any of these influencer people care about Smash if they're not in Smash? Like, come on, man. Like I said at the jump, like, you think these people have anything to do with planning a Smash event? Like, do you really think that?
Yeah,
like, look at
it's
them.
just-
With all due respect. Like, look
it just so bad. Like, you just hate to see it. You
Yeah.
just hate to see it. Like, people
I've
are
seen
hurting
Justin
here. Like,
Wong get
people-
lost on the way to bathroom twice.
There was a
like
similar
there's
issue.
definitely some people there, like there's gonna be some players and some workers and content creators and editors, whatever, who, like, if they leave Panda, then they're like hurting, like they don't have a job, or like and like there's some people who actually can't afford to leave even if they might want to, right?
Yeah.
And just it's not, I don't think it's fair to hurt them and to treat them badly because of the actions of somebody who they probably have not even ever met before.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because Panda is like not a huge corporation or anything like that.
They are
But
international.
it's big enough to
yeah.
where, and it's remote, right? Like it's like a, kind of thing where they might have never have met Alan before, right? They know of him, they might be like not even in the Smash ecosystem, right? So like they might not even really know too much about him, right? So like to hurt them for that, like that's what I don't. I mean, I don't understand it. I get why it happens, but it's like I'm shaking my head right now, right? Like it's stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to definitely give support to everybody who's affected by this. No matter what side of the sword you fall on, like a lot of people are affected by this in a bad way, and yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, whenever one of these esports companies blows up, and they always do because the real money isn't actually ever real. It's always like some sort of fucking online gambling scheme or something like that. It's usually the players who get axed first and get absolutely nothing out of it, and whoever's up top like golden parachutes their way to another company or
Yeah.
something. So like, don't take it out on the players because they're taking paychecks where they can get them, and it's pretty hard to get paychecks as a player. Like I mentioned this before, but it's hard.
Yeah, there's no money in this scene.
Yeah, no.
We can all tell you that.
I remember like 2011, I want to say, when they had a contest of like how they were going to decide what the last game for Evo was they were going to make it a donation thing rather than a voting thing, because the time before they did a voting thing and they ended up having Melty Blood on stage for some fucking reason.
Oh yeah, who would do that?
God.
Yeah, and they very quickly found out that nobody in the fighting game scene has any money at all.
Yeah.
Except for Smash players, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I think there have been a few takes on this that I think are worth pointing out, and one is as usual, King Hippo has written an article about this, and I think it's a very sober take on the situation. It kind of gives some credence to why Panda, I say, why Alan might have made this kind of situation. And reading it from that perspective, it makes sense, because Panda is a big, like I was saying, there's a lot of people who are working at Panda who
Mouths to
kind
feed.
of rely on that as a job, like as a way to sustain themselves. And maybe Alan thought what he was doing was in their best interests. Whether that's good
I will say
for
one
Panda
thing.
and for the community,
One thing that remains unclear to me, even with that perspective, is there is an accusation in this Smash World Tour statement that they're not explicitly making, but is heavily implied that that Alan had weaponized Nintendo's legal team in some way. Can he do that? Do you really think that? Do you think some guy could suddenly have the ability, either intentionally or not, have the knowledge or working capacity to make threats about the shutdown or otherwise revoke licenses or opportunities from other people in this space? I'm not sure.
I
think if he did, he would have done it earlier. Is the thing.
But that's part of it as well. It's like,
well, the thing is,
if he had an exclusive license, like let's say he
he didn't
somehow finessed Nintendo.
Well, he didn't, and Nintendo has come out and said that Panda, their work with Panda is not exclusive in any way.
Yeah, then why would they even be screwing around? They would have just been like, okay, you need to. They would have just explicitly said you need to sign up with us and agree to our terms, or you don't get to exist.
Yeah,
so the thing is
exclusivity, but
the thing is that
they don't have
the thing
legal
that
exclusivity.
The thing that Beyond the Smash is saying, or the Beyond the Summit Smash is saying, is that he expected the entirety of the 2022 circuit to be shut down, not the finals. The entire thing was going under. That the way in the planning phases of this thing, they were saying, yeah, don't sign up with them because they are not going to happen. They are not coming back for 2022. So that either means he knew that there was going to be a shutdown, or he thought he knew that there would be one. He thought that at some point in the pipeline, they were going to get shut down. It didn't happen.
Or
For
he was
whatever
feeding-
reason, either because the
he
company was too
feeding
slow.
Nintendo garbage.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Either because the company was too slow to react and they didn't get to cancel them in time, right? That's a possibility. Or, and this is the thing that I don't believe, he had some information or some capacity to say, yeah, these people are undeserving of a license. That's the implied accusation here, which is that Alan acted with the knowledge that they were going to get shut down, or that he had the ability to. I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if Nintendo... I don't know how far into Nintendo you have to get to have the confidence to do that. And so I'm interested to hear his statement, not because I think he's going to cleanse himself of any accusations, but rather I'd like to know how you become that much of a snake, to be honest. That is crazy. I want to know how you could even get there. I don't know if that's a story he'd tell, but like in the months and years after this, I'm sure things are going to come out. And that's really the question that's going to linger with me here is like, how did anyone have the confidence to act like they're running a protection racket for Nintendo from the outside, no less?
I mean, that's kind of typical. I mean, you see that a lot in
That
business,
kind
how
of,
businesses
like,
are run. I mean, look at
You see that in tech all the time.
yeah, it's all the
like,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Confidence is
could
completely
be.
unjustified, but that's the more confidence you project, the more people think that you have to have something to it, because
mhm.
if you didn't have that, if it wasn't legit
How,
or
like,
somewhat legitimate, why
yeah.
would you have that level of confidence? It's literally why confidence scams exist.
Honestly, a lot of to like air some dirty laundry without being too specific, a lot of these like esports companies get this big because like their higher ups are willing to act like a protection racket, either explicitly or implicitly.
Yeah,
and
I
especially
mean,
because like Nintendo has this history, right, of like shutting shit down. Like they're for better
It's
or for worse.
cromulent.
Like,
It's immediately cromulent.
yeah, it's like you're like, oh shit, like So like I can see how people can believe that. Like I don't. Again, like I am also curious to see what this other side of the story is.
Especially with like big elephants in the room like Evo saying we're not going to have Smash this year because we weren't able to work things out with Nintendo, without being specific about like the specifics of what that meant. Like, were they denied having a license? Did Nintendo just come out and send them a cease and desist? Like, we don't know, we won't know.
Yeah, like if you can shut down Evo, if you can, shut down all these other events, like, what? Yeah, I mean, if Panda Global, the official tour,
the official people, the
of
only people
Smash,
Nintendo is
right?
talking to.
Yeah, like they're saying this, and yeah, it's probably true, right?
Mhm.
Like, so, but I don't know. Like, no, that's the thing. Like, there's a
That-
lot
that
of
to me-
speculation going around. Like, who knows? I mean, I wish I could say I'm just sitting here on the sidelines, like, just eating popcorn. But the thing is like the implosion of Panda, like, for better, like, the, I'll just say up front, like, this shit looks really bad on as far as Panda Global. Like, I don't think Panda Global's too much longer for this world. To
Yeah.
be honest, like this
Yeah,
is
they're-
a huge, like,
This is gonna
huge blow.
They're
The-
so
Like, I
toxic
mean,
their
now.
cachet as a
like you
brand is
said,
gonna
they
fall.
lost 80% of their staff. Nintendo, I'm sure, is not very happy with them right now.
Oh yeah,
They lose, yeah. As soon as Nintendo, which is I'm pretty sure is gonna happen, says yeah, bye, then they're gone, right? Like, and that really sucks because despite everything, like Panda Global is like one of the few big quote unquote esports organizations who've paid the FGC any attention, right?
Mhm.
There's out of any sponsor right now, like Panda Global is the one who has the most like FGC talent, and not only FGC talent, but FGC grassroots, like community supported talent, right?
I would argue
So the
that they
loss of
influenced
Panda
a
Glo-
wave of other organizations to start FGC branches.
Exactly. So like the loss of Panda Global it affects, quote unquote us as the FGC, if you're gonna separate the FGC from Smash too. and that really sucks.
Yeah.
Like that really sucks because yeah, people were doing good things. Like, you know, again, the people who have no idea what's going on in these backroom deals have been doing really good things and have been supported by Panda Global, and have been able to make their way and
Maybe this
spread the
doesn't mean anything
gospel.
to FGC people, but PG stats going under like that or just ceasing
Yeah,
to
PG
exist
stats, like that's
is like
crazy.
the
Yeah.
FGC is like years behind in terms of what FG like
Yeah.
PG stats was doing. Like
Yeah. For all of y'all out there who aren't as familiar with like that side of things of Smash, like the way that they do statistics, a lot of production and behind the scenes things that Smash does are crazy light years beyond
Yep.
that. Well, I won't say light years. It's just like it's very developed.
it's just things that we talk
in a
about
way
happening that it just happen on the daily over there. Like
Yeah, exactly. It's like they just do it, right? Like they built Slippy, right? They built rollback for a
Yep.
game, which luckily we have, shout outs to Fightcade, right? But that's an emulation, right? Like they actually took a game
apart.
and built it into the game, right? Like that's on a whole different level, right? And that's a big part of that is just because of the size of the community, right? The size of Smash community is way bigger
Yep.
than any single FGC game.
Yep.
And that's the key point, right? Like Smash community, they have what, 5 games total, I think.
What?
Like if you only include
64
Smash
Melee, Brawl 4 Ultimate. Yeah.
Yeah, like if you only include like mainline Nintendo Smash games, right, and not, like
Harder
like
Than,
Rivals of
Than One.
Ether or
Yeah,
like
or-
other competitive platformers or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Project M, stuff like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so numbers wise, they're just exponentially bigger than any single FGC game. So that's why they have all this stuff. So it's not to say like, oh, they're just more developed for some mysterious reason. Like, no, they just have numbers.
And in practice, most of their effort is in 2 games, Ultimate and Melee. I mean, 64 is kind of sick.
Well, no,
Yeah,
I would say
I mean,
Brawl
Melee, like
is
specifically Melee has been like this timeline,
Yeah.
and then like the newer games after that, right? But yeah, anyways, so like it's a huge blow not only to the Smash community but also to the FGC, and I'll argue to esports in general, like because they were creating a kind of a template for other esports organizations, outside of fighting games, outside of Smash. And so
yeah, exactly. Like I
yeah,
said, they were inspiring people to get into this thing at a, like now you see Golden Guardians a lot in Smash now. You see Cloud9, you see Team Liquid. That was not a thing before Panda. I mean, Golden Guardians maybe they've been around a little longer, but these are new things that it took a couple of really strong organizations that are coming from the scene to kind of make it attractive. But eulogy for Panda Global aside, I do really wish for the best for people who enjoy NA Smash, because it was being run by the people who run the biggest events in NA Smash. So if they go under, things are bad, and you're gonna lose out, and you're gonna think about the relationship you have to this company, and think about some heavy shit that other people in Smash have had to think about in 2013 and the years before that.
This honestly gives me some existential dread as a...
Oh yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Everyone's like, "Oh shit!"
It's not,
Everyone's
this isn't just a Smash thing. Yeah, Nintendo is weird, and Nintendo is litigious, even relative to other video game publishers. But this is not something that only Nintendo could do. This could happen to any game.
And this is something that Ultra David has spoke upon earlier. Like this whole thing, like this whole
it's been something that's
like,
been looming for years.
This is like something that could always happen, like at a drop of a dime. If Capcom is just like suddenly like, you know what? If you're not part of CPT, then you can't stream.
Yeah,
like you can't stream events.
And
this is
they changed their license a while back,
And
people
they changed it
complained about
again,
and,
but
oh yeah, oh
yeah,
man,
but
we made an episode about that, didn't we? Yeah.
yeah,
we
we
did,
did. Oh
and
man,
they
that.
made some adjustments to it because they actually cared about at least some of the feedback.
I don't know if they cared. They just
They didn't want
realized,
to torch their entire, position
Yeah.
as
That's why they
like.
cared.
Well, yeah. But anyways, like it's just like the all of this can go away in a poof of smoke, right? If the people who make the games that we play choose.
One and gone,
And
it's
is
gone.
that
Like,
right? Like, no, it's totally not right. It's stupid.
But it
and it's
is what it
dumb,
is.
But it is what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Prior
And
to this,
and no matter what, like I forget. There's one like recent tweet from I forget what Smash person. But they're saying like no matter what you do, like no matter what the rights holder do, if they do say like, oh, you can't do anything, we're still gonna play the games that we play. We're still going to have the communities that we have. Like that's just what we do, right?
Yeah.
Like as community, as fighting FGC, right? And I always include Smash as part of FGC. Like we're definitely like we're definitely different communities in a lot of ways, but at the same we still have that grassroots things that a lot of different gaming communities don't have.
we're more similar than we're different for sure.
Exactly.
But how many
Right.
people are now going to be happy having to go back to these 20-person locals and these smaller regional events? Maybe not any streaming at all, depending on how petty Nintendo or other publishers want to be about it.
Yeah.
Are they actually? Because it's that's everything in life in a way. Is an issue of expectations. It's like, yeah, that's how Melee tournaments were run in 2003.
Mhm.
But people want to go back to that 20 years later? And I'm not questioning their love for the game at all.
Yeah, it would be mad unfortunate if we have to do that.
It's really unfortunate. It's just,
Yeah.
are people going? And I think for some of them, yeah, they'd be absolutely happy. Just like, yeah, I want to play Melee until I'm dead.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, this is gonna really impact people's like this is the reward people get for going clean straight edge with Nintendo on their properties. Like fuck that, right?
It got.
If I mean personally, I don't really have an opinion on that, but I understand if you're a player who's like this entire time just been like, yeah, maybe it is for the best that we work this out so that we can healthy your ecosystem, and then you see this shit happen, you're like, well, who cares? Ever fire up your Wii's, everybody. We're gonna play some shit. Like it just it does it loses trust. I think everyone lost a little bit of trust. A little or a lot.
I said earlier, there were no winners. It's like a game of Mario Party. Nobody wins.
Yeah. Prior to this happening with Nintendo, like getting sent a cease and desist for your tournament was like the purview of like Death Cargo and like other small games made by crazy people who don't understand how the world works.
Oh god, I gotta edit
now,
this video
now we
later.
have
Fuck.
big games made by big people who don't understand how the world works to worry about too.
Yeah.
And there's always the worry that another one of these companies is gonna get too big for their britches, or their ambition is gonna get the better of them. They're gonna try and take everything over, or just say no more of this.
Or somebody manages to fleece a venture capital firm or three out of a ton of money, and now they're trying to build this whole esports empire.
That's how sports empires started and have always been,
baby.
Yeah, if one of these companies like gets really interested in some kind of random coin, right? Like,
have fun.
I mean, that's why it's
knows?
always in your best interest to make sure all the Richard Lewises of the world have you blocked.
Mm-hmm. Here.
I'm not big enough in the scene yet because Richard Lewis doesn't have me blocked.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think I'm not on one of those weird block lists or something. I think I just never. So Osu complains about me being on Twitter, but somehow this hasn't happened to me yet, so I'm not online enough.
Wow. Yeah.
Just he looks like a thumb from Spy Kids.
That's really funny.
Have you ever added him or like mentioned him?
No, but I mean that just seems like, yeah, if you add him, he'll block you. Like, yeah, obviously,
have
right?
you ever like said his name? That's the thing. Like,
you know what?
Searches.
Lewis. That's a really good question.
I mean,
no, I don't think I have. Yeah, no. Twitter search says no. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny.
I've definitely said Lewis or something. I've said something. I'm sure that's why I'm blocked.
All right,
Anyways,
understandable. Anyway, let's move on. This is very depressing. In some slightly more optimistic news, Project L had an update, in which they talked about the kind of game they're making. They're making an extremely fucked up 2v2 tag game with active tag, like BB Tag. You know, the game that everyone loves.
Wow.
And yeah.
Extremely fucked up, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, people complained because apparently the hit stop looks very long, but also I would concede that the animations in the game look very rough. It's clearly not done. There's a lot of holding on to key phrases for a very long time, and people kind of say, "Oh, the game looks slow," but I also think it's because they're not animated completely. So it looks like they're just holding poses for a really long time, so you could interpret that as slow. Once they're moving all the time, then you won't see it as much.
Yeah.
That game is very
but
early.
yeah,
They
so
probably
a
should have
couple of
driven that
things.
point home more that this is very much a work in progress, and a lot of the assets there, probably all of them, honestly, are not finished.
I'm apparently very sensitive to the tempo of games in terms of fighting games, and the actual tempo of the combos and sequences going on in those Project L trailers is pretty much beat for beat how BlazBlue is in terms of the tempo of a combo and a block string and sequence, all that. They're just holding single poses longer. Like BlazBlue, doing a move-to-move sequence will take about the same amount of time and hit at the same timing as what I've seen in the Project L trailers so far. It's just the moves are more fluidly animated because there's more frames done.
Yeah. So
it's just work in progress stuff.
If
a lot of people aren't used to seeing the game as it's made.
Yeah, if you've ever played BB Tag, you have a very good idea of what to expect. If you've ever played any of those tag games that have active switch type of thing, like Grid,
Marvel Infinite,
MBCI,
Marvel Infinite,
then you have kind of the idea.
Cross tag, BB Tag,
and I think that's really funny because
Power Rangers,
Grid,
100% Power Rangers.
I think it's really funny because that's probably the most niche of subgenres in fighting games. Like 2v2 tag games, they come around every once in a while. I mean,
how old is Kizuna Encounter?
96.
There you go.
They've been around for, and I mean, I've played pretty much all of them because I love that particular type of gameplay, but those games are not, they've never really achieved those heights that a 1v1 or traditional 2D or 3D fighting game or even like a 3v3 tag game get. So really interesting for them to pivot that way. They openly admit in the trailer that they started as a 1v1 game and they now pivoted to a 2v2 format, which, man, this game is going to be in development for at least 7 years by the time we get something playable, huh? There's no way it comes out next year. The year after that sounds more realistic.
2016?
Beta 2024.
Yeah. Testing sounds realistic for 2024, 2025 main release. Shit, that's 5 years for 2020, and then how many years of pre-production? That's almost a decade of working on this game.
I mean, that's how Riot is, though. I mean, didn't they start
is it?
production on Legends of Runeterra in 2012 when Hearthstone came out?
I mean,
and that game took
maybe
8 years?
I mean, maybe.
And the same thing,
I don't
know about that.
With Valorant, yeah, they are in no rush because League of Legends makes so much money.
Valorant makes a ton too.
Yeah, Valorant.
I feel like Valorant, they showed Valorant a lot closer to the final product, though. At back when they did that,
real quick, does Valorant have? It doesn't have League characters. Right?
It does not.
It is its own universe of characters.
Universe. Is it its own universe? Or
yes,
is
it
it
is. It is its own universe of characters. It is a sci-fi military setting that is completely separate. Yeah.
Yeah, whereas Project L is in the Runeterra universe.
Yeah,
the same as League of Legends and Legends of Runeterra and all of that.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't really doubt the quality of the game, because if you've played any of the games that aren't League of Legends that they put out, like Valorant, Legends of Runeterra, both are extremely polished video games. They are extremely well done, complete packages that work amazingly. Legends of Runeterra run circles around Hearthstone, and Hearthstone was an extremely polished game when it came out. Am
I crazy, or did they put out a polished dark fantasy take on the League series CRPG recently?
They contracted the people who made Battle Chasers Night War, if you've ever heard of that game. It is a turn-based RPG, and they hired them to make a spin-off game. I don't remember the name of it. League of
It
Legends
had one of those
story.
names that like is on par with like League of Legends.
It is called Ruined King. That's what it was called.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Ruined King. Yes. That game.
Apparently, that's good.
You know what? I've literally never heard of anyone who's played any of those spin-off games, which sounds unfortunate because they're probably good games. I've just never heard anyone talk about them. There's actually a couple more out there. They're just like smaller scale projects. So yeah, that is a thing that exists. I really don't doubt it. I just think, and this is something I'm gonna vent personally. Please stop asking me about resources for this game. This game is like 3 years out right now. Please, okay? Everyone, like, there's screenshots. Like, earlier today, I was in Discord, and there was somebody posting a screenshot about how, like, the state of the Project L Reddit, the subreddit, and how people just talk, like, the most insane, deranged things because there's just no information. People make things up, and they start speculating, and it's just like, just chill, and I feel that way about like betas as well. Like even when the game's in beta, just enjoy yourself, man. They could throw this all out tomorrow if they wanted to, dude. Just wait until the game comes out. Like, don't rush yourself. Have fun. Turn off your content brain for a minute. This game is years out, years and years and years out. Just the frame data will exist at some point in the future. For now, chill. Okay, let's not. Let's talk about the games that are out right now or the game that you're playing right now. Whatever it is.
No, we can't talk about that. That's already out. We gotta get hyped for the next.
I know, man. I know. Speaking of getting hyped for the next thing, you want to talk about Tekken?
Yeah.
So they did the.
Wait. But I need to know how many plus frames is Echo's.
Too many, bro. Too many, bro. Fucking nerf it. Too many.
Like, I really need to know.
Cancel that and then go back in and then.
Hagare, you don't need that. Hagare, you and I both know that all you need to know is like, can you do crouching forward into Ari's ES Beast Cannon? And the answer is going to be yes.
I don't just play Beast Cannon characters.
You
okay?
really do.
I do not.
Okay, prove it.
I literally, Gallon is the only. I don't play Blanca.
What character do you play in Eternal Fighter Zero? Because I've
literally never played that game because I don't have a PC. So.
Damn, sad.
I wish, because that game looks sick.
No,
I probably
alright.
wouldn't play a Beast Cannon character
Steam
because
Deck, right?
Yeah, that's why I need to get that and yeah, I need to do all that stuff.
Yeah, I hear somebody's working on a new front end for that game.
I don't know anything about that. Don't ask me.
I heard of that too. Yeah.
Don't ask me about it. I don't know anything about
it. Just add max support, okay?
Yeah, before we
I'm
go
trying,
Tekken,
okay?
Like, I think Project L looks cool. I know there's a lot of. I don't know. I guess a lot of people are not trying to play that game for very.
I mean, like I said, I think it's a very niche genre for them to go for. I think a lot of people are not going to be into it. There's very much going to be a dedicated community of players. Like it's
the same angle they took with Valorant, though. It's like, who makes a first-person shooter?
No, bro.
A first-person shooter
You're wrong.
Counter-Strike since Counter-Strike.
No, because Rainbow Six Siege exists. That's not true. Because Rainbow Six Siege is a thing, and it is.
Yeah, but it's not like Counter-Strike. It's totally different game.
I don't know. I think
quality, my dude.
I think people are just talking mess. Like,
yeah. So yeah, it'll have its niche, but it absolutely could be popular, and that's how Riot operates.
I mean, I think it's going to be popular. It operates on a formula that is very basic to games, which is you make the game for free, you make it good, you pay people to market it, and you just these people know how to sell a game. Like that part is a given.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's gonna have better netcode than any game ever made.
Yeah.
And like all these people who are like talking shit, like, oh, it's gonna be like BB Tag or it's gonna be like MVCI, like.
To which I say, please make it like that. I will play.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't know. I feel like those games in particular, like, get
literally everyone says about MVCI is that the gameplay is good. That's what people.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh yeah, the graphics are bad. The gameplay is really good.
Everybody says BB Tag is like crazy but fun as fuck. Like all these games, like the people who actually do play them, they say they're great. They're having a good time, and that's what they want. That's what makes
they also say that netcode. Well, I guess less true in MVCI's case that it's a lack of support and the networking is kind of bad. And I've seen people complain about it for MVCI.
I mean, they could have fixed.
Issues Riot games don't have.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like all the like recent like fighting games that have been 2v2 has like other issues surrounding them, right? So like let's go to the beginning, like cross tag. I mean, we all know there's a lot of issues around cross
PC tag, baby, let's go.
Yeah, but people who do play cross tag, and I feel like at the end, after everything, all the patches and shit, like seemed like a pretty good game. It was just too late to save. Then came BB tag or MVCI was first. I forget.
MVCI was first.
MVCI. Okay, so MVCI, well, again, like a lot of people say it's a great game, but it looks shitty and
That game was
eggs,
aggressively ugly.
Easter eggs,
Easter
right?
eggs,
Evil
baby.
Plastic Easter eggs. And then BB tag, really like crazy fun game, but like life cycle and lack of support.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
'cause
still
think
think there's one more Fate. There has to be one more Fate coming, right? Right?
There has to be.
Oh, another Fate fighting game? Probably.
yeah, we're gonna get another Fate. Yeah, we're gonna get a Fate Grand Order fighting game from French Bread probably.
No, it already happened. What do you mean? Game's already out.
Yeah, so you can play as.
You can play right now.
Saver and Nash.
No. It's going to be Dungeon and Fighter 2 basically because they're going to get aiding and ArcSystemWorks to do it.
Oh man. But
Ugh.
anyways, yeah, I think this game will have none of those problems, plus like a crazy already installed player base with the whole League of Legends community and people like me who have never played League of Legends but think Arcane is like super sick.
Yeah.
So
That's
There's
what
that
we're
angle,
working
too.
on.
They're trying to make this mixed media push.
All right, this is the longest we've ever talked about popular video games in a straight session on the show, I think. So
Yeah,
okay,
we're
let's
gonna
pivot to the other one that has Eris, Tekken. So really quick, I didn't know that the Tekken 8 thing was gonna be at the Game Awards until the Eris tweet where he posts a picture of the shirt they sent him. They sent him a medium.
Nobody did.
Yeah, I think that was literally the news broke because he posted a picture of a
he
a shirt.
inadvertently leaking that.
Yeah, and he leaked it.
That was
That was
totally elite.
honestly though, that's the best way for that's the best way to leak an announcement to the Tekken community. Just like have Eris
Definitely
like
the
randomly
funniest way to
post
do
it.
it.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really good.
I'm like, do they know how big Aris's shirt size is, or maybe they did know, and that's exactly why they did it.
I don't know, man. Whatever the reason is,
I'm pretty sure that was not intentional.
yeah,
man.
whatever the reason may have been, they did that, and then they announced the hashtag save the date, D8, for Tekken 8 showing up at the Game Awards. The Game Awards in like 2 days now. It's
Yeah, it's on Thursday.
oh my
it's in 2
god.
days. Okay. What do I have to do to get that Steam Deck?
You have to sign up for a
on
thing.
Valve's website, and then you have to watch it through Steam.tv.
And if you get it, you have
Every
to give it
minute,
to me.
right?
Yeah. It's 2 days until the show, is what it says here.
You actually have to watch it though.
I don't know. Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah, you have to be live streaming it on the Steam TV service.
Oh no, yeah, no, never
Oh,
mind.
you
have
have
to-
to
you have to
live
be
stream
able
it
to claim
on
it,
a
too.
certain
No,
service?
you don't have to. You don't have to
rip.
stream it. You have to be watching it through their app, though.
Oh god.
That sounds terrible. I would not do that.
No, the Steam streaming tech actually.
No, it's not.
It's pretty good actually.
Well, I mean, in my experience, it's been pretty bad, but I guess
It's better than owned.tv was.
Ouch.
Alright, let me look this
It's
shit
not
up.
as good as Mixer was though.
Oh, Mixer was godlike.
Oh, Mixer. Yeah.
so good it had to die. Yeah.
Too good.
All right,
No,
so
you
that's
can't-
that's
Too much cultural momentum. But
Yeah,
let's
and
get
I
to
do
the topic.
appreciate that they at least got Twitch to fix their lag. Because
I think
like
that's,
back when Mixer had like half a second of stream delay, and Twitch was at 60 seconds or something egregious.
hey man, you gotta add that stream delay, man. You never know what you gotta cut something, man.
But then that's part of now. It's like now they've thrown more stuff at this back end stuff. Now it's like, well, how much does it cost to run Twitch nowadays? It's billions of dollars, and nobody can figure out how to make money on this stuff.
I guess streaming is a blow up, as a wise man
What?
says.
I read. Huh? Oh, okay.
You
I
registered?
just went to their website and I clicked the button, and now I'm registered for the giveaway.
Let's
Cool.
go.
That was easy.
Easy.
Easy
Yeah,
peasy.
if you're logged
So
into Steam, it's
get
perfect.
a Steam Deck, guys. Yeah, that's
Okay.
all the topics I have for tonight. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything else. Otherwise, we will wrap it. This has been a very good episode. I really enjoyed it.
I am looking for disk drives that work on a system 246. Those are apparently harder to come by than you would think.
Yeah, just comment on the YouTube post or
Yeah,
add us on Twitter or
Corn is stuck
something.
in the retro. Vortex.
Yeah, if you know something, then contact us. We will get you in touch, and we will gladly work out your hard drives, and we can run fuck at a tournament somewhere.
Oh, fuck works. It's Basara that's
Oh, okay, yeah, great. Basara. Okay, so if you want to bring that into the world, then hook our boy up.
It is inevitable.
I definitely want to bring that.
Sounds like hopefully, if we're next offline event that we end up doing all.
If you want to bring Kusaru back to America for revenge on Marvel, you have to bring him here by beating him with SBX. It's the only way.
I think Kusaru took his money and ran. I don't think anything will bring him back.
I think SBX is the only shot we have.
Yeah, that's true. That could be it. That
you just want to run SBX.
I do.
Yeah,
The game is funny.
I'm right there with you, man. I don't know nothing about the game except for the infinites, and the infinites look stupid as fuck, so I'm all in it.
It is the game, as far as I am aware, it is the game that originates the now beloved term gorilla in fighting games.
Really?
Yeah, because as far as I'm aware, the earliest usage I can find for the term gorilla was referring to Hideyoshi in SBX. Because they call that man the gorilla, and they call his rising into the air infinite Planet of the Apes.
Oh, that's great. Today I learned.
Yeah, that's a good one. Cap it off with that, guys. Now you know where gorilla comes from.
And I hope everybody's looking forward to SPX and Fate Unlimited Code sometime next. Well, I don't know.
Sometime somewhere.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
Coming soon
to a 956 production near you.
Yeah.
I will manifest this.
Yeah.
Whether you want it or not.
I think people want it, but we'll see. Let us know in the comments. Subscribe.
Everybody, give some finishing words. What do you got to end it off with? Corin already gave it.
Dippy.
I'm just, it's thinking, man, do I really want to be running? Well, Fatal Unlimited Code.
Yes, you do.
Watch. But then it's like, well, how far is it? It's like somebody gonna? It's like, oh, you should. I mean, we're already running Alien Challenge. These other terrible games, and
Aren't we running that?
Yeah, we are.
We're running that, right?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
So I mean, come on.
What standards? We don't have standards.
You can see me. You can all see me in Alien Challenge, is what I think. You can all see me playing my fucking Steve Areno. Think I won't. Yeah. Okay. So is that your closing words?
Yeah, I'm saying that we're gonna keep doing it until we don't do it.
Yes, that is your closing words. All right. As for myself, we've talked a lot about our relationship to publishers and community. Don't ever choose the publisher over the community. It's never worth it. That may sound like a hyperbolic statement of some sort, but the longer I do this thing, the longer I believe that, and that's why I'm here doing all the crazy stuff that I am. So yeah, just play the games that you guys want with your friends, and everything will follow. And
there's something to be said about having your freedom.
Yes, and that's really all I've got for you. Stick around to watch the show. Appreciate the people who've been watching. Hope the comeback has been entertaining for you all. I think that's it. All right, so with that, we're going to call it a night, guys. Remember, 956pro.com/YouTube for our YouTube channel at 956 Productions. Early registration for Vortex Gallery Online 2023 is live at vortexgallery.moe. That is .moe. And you can check out any of the 100+ tournaments that we're running February 10th through March 5. I never get that right. And, if you want to check out the more episodes of the podcast in audio format, you can check us out on Spotify, 956pro.com/podcast if you want to check out the latest episode on audio. That's all from us, guys. Thank you all for tuning in.
Peace.